Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody from all around the world, hello and welcome to another episode of The Welch Report with me, your host, Jean-Luc Welch. Let's make some noise. Everybody, clap it up, get excited wherever you are. We're back, we're here, and we're all so excited to go through the world of boxing and beyond, debating and discussing all the happenings with you all on this Friday edition of The Welch Report. It's the championship rounds today, as we do every single Friday afternoon, where you all control the entire flow of the conversation of this show. And wherever we go throughout all of our debates, all of our discussions, all of our conversations, all of our questions, you ride the ship. Yes, we have plot points and certain things we're going to try to discuss, but everything is dictated on you, the viewing and listening public, on what we have to say on today. And we appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you joining in on our show on this Friday afternoon. And if you'll be so kind, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hey, what's going on? We appreciate you being here. Subscribe and join the hottest show in all the globe. Come join our empire. Come join our community. Go ahead and hit the notification bell so you know whenever we post right here on YouTube, you can keep up to date with every single happening that we have going on our channel. And please be sure to go through and you can support us through Cash App, PayPal, links down below in the description, super chats, super gifts, stickers, and the like. All, all for you to help us keep on this keep the show going, and to support our channel and help us grow as a community. And please be sure to do the most important thing, which is to share the show with everybody that you know, so we can keep on building up this empire together and growing and flourishing all together as one of the best sports media outlets in all of the globe. And if you would rate us 5 stars on every podcasting platform, Apple, Spotify, you name it, we're there. And if we're not, tell us, we will get there, absolutely. But we appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you being with us. We already got people in the chat, like with Callie. Callie, what's going on? How you doing? Good to see you. We thank you so much for tuning into the show. Salute to you and everybody else that's listening all around the globe. Who wins in a tag team boxing match between Shakur and Keyshawn? And between Shakur and Keyshawn Davis against Devin, Haney, and Richard Hitchens. Now, if we're talking about a tornado tag like they do in wrestling, with both fighters in the ring at the same time, it could get, it might get a little bit more sketchy. But if we're just talking straight up 2v2, yeah, probably Shakur and Keyshawn. Because Hitchens being that weakest link, he's probably going to get beat first, most likely. And if that happens, then we're going to get into, well, Devin Haney, as big as he is, going to be fighting all on his own. And although we know he's got maybe some level of pop, it probably wouldn't be the best thing for him going up against those two. Let me see. Also, Ryan Grace, what's up with you? How you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning into the show with us on today. Now, what about the performance between with Haynes King and Carson Beck? Hey, look now. Football's here. My team, Carolina, just went and beat the brakes. Had a very close performance and win going up against Carson Beck in rookie versus rookie. And hey man, that's arguably one of the best preseason games we've ever seen, at least for the Hall of Fame game at minimum. For my team, Carolina Panthers, thankfully this shows that we're going to have a pretty good season this year. Potentially, we had to put up 30 off the buck going up against not even with our main starting caliber. Hey, chemistry's there, riding high. We still got great running. Seems like we got another line of scrimmage level running back who can be our 1 yard line, kind of bust through battering ram. And Dylan, we good. I'm excited. Hey, I'm not gonna front. I was riding high. I bought food and everything for that game. And I'm so happy I got to see it. And let me see, Callie, you talking about in the tag team boxing match? You talking about that I think that's actually a real thing. Because I think it's either on Triller or something of the like. Had that as a legitimate, like, oh, you can tag out. But no, it might have been Misfits. It might have been Misfits actually that did that. I would pick Shakur versus Haney. Or excuse me, I would pick Shakur and Keyshawn to beat Haney and Hitchens simply because Hitchens is most likely going to lose before anything. Before anything takes place, Hitchens is going to lose. And Hitchens probably is going to fight first because you want your strongest brother to be coming in as the last, not last resort, but as kind of the enforcer of sorts to go and turn the tide of the fight. That, against these two, probably he'd lose. Probably he'd lose. But I mean, if we all of a sudden find out that Hitchens can actually carry power more than just against Kambosos, and maybe, hey, he shows he actually has some levels against Keyshawn, because Keyshawn gonna be starting first, most likely, because Shakur is the outright better fighter. I would pick them too. That's just me. That's just me. Like we want to see what y'all got to say. I don't think so. A lot of people sleeping on Richard Hitchens. I watched a lot of amateur fights, and the kid is pretty good, and he is good. And actually, this is the perfect segue to talk about the actual boxing elements of this show. Like I said, we're discussing the world of boxing as a whole and everything surrounding the world of sports and beyond. Without question, we can actually transition before we get into Boots and Haney, before we get into the questions with Shakur and the movement he's done throughout his career thus far, which I'm going to play a clip that kind of gives a potential talking point catalyst about Shakur Stevenson. We need to go, we can talk about Hitchens real quick. How good is he? Though he's undefeated, does he fit the caliber of being in that same level with the Keyshawns, Haneys, or Shakurs? And yes, I'm not saying he's outright better than him, but to be put in the same conversation, though he is a champion, I just don't have that same level of faith in him as a boxer. And I've said this before. Though he is undefeated, I'm not looking at his resume as something that is, it speaks so highly of him that, it's without reproach. I shouldn't be concerned. Again, part of it's fighting style. I don't like the way that he fights. Part of it is because I really genuinely don't think he can go and face off against, once he gets to truly that elite caliber of competition, which I haven't seen him in the ring with something like that yet in that regard. We've seen him against people, again, that are big. Yes, we're talking about skill-wise. It ain't, yeah, I haven't seen that level of execution against that type of talent to give me the fact to say, okay, yeah, he's like that. At least in the grand scheme of elite fighting. He can belong, but I don't think he'll last long when he faces off against these other killers. Like, especially if with right now, 147, Ryan, Connor, Devin, Haney, the three biggest names up there at this point in time. Shakur Stevenson, we don't know where the world he's fighting, so we can put him in that category just for the time being as a name of the four people strictly with Zuffa that we could see Hitchens fight. Hitchens, could he be any of those four? Connor Ben, if you want to say, yeah, I have no issue with that. But that's one. I think he loses to Ryan, loses to Haney, and he loses to Shakur. He loses to Murataya, in my opinion. Though he's at 147. Murataya was at 140, and he fought Hitchens. I think he loses to Murataya. The Murataya is good, really good. It's just, it's just me. I just don't see it. I just don't see that level of. I don't have that same faith and belief as others may have in Hitchens. But if he proves me wrong, he proves me wrong. I ain't got no issue with that. Also, let me see, MS, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for showing up on our show. We salute you and everybody in the chat. Thank you for showing up and tuning in to our show on today. Salute from you. 90% sure info leaked from friend out of Mexico. Davino Espinoza set to fight a dude named Lorenzo Parra, Neverete, I think it's Linfolo, Delgado, and Ray Vargas returning will be on. Wait a minute. All of this is on the same. Wait a second. Oh, shoot. Wait a minute. Wait a second. Lorenzo Parra, Neverete, Ray Vargas, and Espinoza all gonna be on the same card? Good night. Shoot. If this comes out to be true, that's a great, hey, look, that's good. Hey, that's tough. That's tough. I'm not gonna lie. That's tough. That's really. I just wonder where it's going. That's insane. Wait a second. That is ridiculous. That's a huge level of good night. What the? I'm sorry. I didn't expect this to be a situation. Again, this is MS that's breaking this news. Be clear. This ain't just some Joe Schmo that's just making up stuff. This cat's been 2 for 2. 3 for 3, excuse me. He was right on the Benavidez situation. He was right, I think, on another situation after that. Now, if he's right about this, hey, man, Nostradamus, if this turns out to be true, this is a major card with some pretty significant situations in place. Specifically, again, Neverette, who I've been very closely keeping my eye on as he's moving his way through, potentially working his way up to the higher divisions. This is insane. Hey, look, welcome, Sock'em, buddy. You doggone right. It's gonna be nothing but war. It's gonna be nothing but blood and nuts. I wouldn't be surprised if every fight on this card went to knockout, just outright. And there's really no easy fight on any of those matchup names. None of them. Now, there are favorites, sure. But that's going to be a war. Good gosh. That's going to be an outright war. Great day in the morning. Hey, man. MS, I'm glad you broke that news. Now, if we can get a date, if you can give us a scoop on a date, I would love it even more. But just the fact that we know to look out for this card is significant. Very significant. That's a huge, that's about 6 names that are like legit needle movers. And just straight up legit, anybody who loses on this card, that's a shakeup in multiple divisions and for the multiple landscapes of what we could see for the story of boxing going forward. That's that. Great day. Good gosh. I'm glad you told me. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. Let me see. He took the straps from Liam Paro, the same guy that wants Haney. Yep, he did. And Paro is fighting Haney. Yeah, I forgot about that. I'm trying to make sure I catch everything to make sure. I'm definitely tuning in for that one. Yes, absolutely. And please hit the like button. We're gonna be tuning in for this card, absolutely. But please hit the like button if you are excited for this going down. Coach Eddie, welcome back to you. Salute to you and welcome. And we thank you for joining in on the show today. Right now, we react to some news that we got a major fight card getting ready to come up that MS just broke with us. Oh, yeah, for sure. I'll keep you Oh, yeah, we'll keep you in loop for sure. Thank you so much. See, we got our own personal insider. Hey, look, we got our own person. I love it. I appreciate it. Let me tell you something. We moving. This is perfect. Oh my gosh. Okay, look, we don't want to get too lost in the potential. Until confirmed. We don't want to get too lost in the idea of an outright war-driven night that could be featuring Neverette and about 6 other big-time bangers of bloody wars that we can see take place. We do want to make sure we try to keep track on some of the show, but just know, this card, if this does turn out to be true, we about to have ourselves, get your family together. Get yourself a cookout. Go out if you need to, because you will not be disappointed. If this card, this stack comes up, it's going to be insane. It's going to be ridiculous. Let me keep on reading you all's chats to make sure I get everybody else involved with the conversation. Let me see. Boots will smoke Devin. And look, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. Because I don't just put this at the thumbnail. With this as the new reality, Devin Haney doesn't have, or he's got somebody, yes, he's looking to fight next. He's got negotiations in place for somebody else to take on him right now. But down the line, the bigger fish to try to catch has now switched from getting a fight with Shakur to potentially getting a fight with Boots down the line at 154. That's the new fight to make if we see Devin Haney move up. The reason why, some track record set that we heard with Bill Haney, and roughly, I think a week or two ago, what he said when somebody asked him on social media, specifically on a podcast directly, about him getting a fight with Boots. What that would be like, per the words of Bill Haney. But let me see. Fantasy fight, who would win between Terrence Crawford versus Boots at 154? At 154, Terrence Crawford. I'm not picking against Terrence Crawford to beat Boots Ennis. Let me be clear. Now, this is not me saying that Boots hasn't looked the best that he did at 150. We looked phenomenal at 154. I am still not going to pick him against Terrence Crawford to beat him up there, specifically because how he beat Zayas was incredible. It was phenomenal, and it showed that the power carried. At the same breath, if we saw Xander Zayas hurt him, legitimately hurt him, and almost put him out, you put that same situation against the best finisher of, at that point in time, his era, in Terrence Crawford, Boots is not making it out of that round. Most likely, or at least the next round, he's stopping him. That's what he did almost every time. I don't think at 154, at least at this point in time, we would see Boots win. Now, if we see Boots get better off of this performance, we could have a different conversation. Because Terrence Crawford looked like he struggled against Madrimov at 154 in his own right. But again, granted, it's Madrimov. A whole different style and makeup of fighter and what he brings to the table. He makes everybody look like they have a tough fight. Even when Virgil Ortiz beat him more handily, we were seeing Virgil Ortiz having still to really think through the operating power of Madrimov. Don't forget that also Madrimov was a mover, like something that Boots Ennis doesn't like. And Terrence Crawford handled that way better than we've seen Boots handle other movers. And Terrence Crawford can move in his own right. But sit in the pocket, being able to work on the inside, and being the savant of a genius that he is. Thinking-wise, I still don't think the Boots is there to level to the playing field that we see with Terrence Crawford, even at 154. Unless we see him get better as we continue to see him shine at 154. Which again, he's reaching his peak. He's hitting the ground running. The rubber is meeting the road with Boots, and we can see him get better. It's just a matter of how high is he going to be. Because right now, I still ain't going to pick him. Who knows if he gets better? We'll see what happens. Absolutely. But let me keep on reading you all's chats. By the way, I had to come here and say that Pitbull Cruz had separated from his father and joined Canelo team with Eddie Reynoso's. That was also true. He is set to fight officially here in San Diego on September 19th versus Puerto Rico. Yep, Nestor Bravo with Eddie Reynoso as his corner for the first time. So this is actually great. Okay, perfect. Thank you for telling me. Again, the Nestor Bravo fight was aware. Just got confirmed. I think earlier this week or maybe last week. I can't exactly remember. But the Nestor Bravo fight, I was aware of it was going to happen in September. The Eddie Reynoso situation, now that's a little bit of new news to talk about in the world of boxing. That's a little bit different. That's actually exciting. More than exciting, that's dangerous. That's incredibly dangerous. Why? Because we have now seen the potential first steps into what could be the final evolution of Isaac Cruz. Specifically, he is now training with a trainer that has worked with a fighter in Canelo, who has mastered the very style that we see Isaac Cruz fighting. Catch and shoot as an undersized boxer. I've been waiting on this for who knows how long. This is the biggest makeup of an evolution in a fighter that I could see when it comes to Pitbull Cruz. Because if this cat was never going to actually move his head or get off the center line and like a mini Mike Tyson, start moving like Mike a little bit to go and get out of the way of some shots to make it easier to close the distance, well, he just needs to go and hone what he's already good at. Being a tank, being able to get everything to pop off the glove and catch and shoot to work his way on the inside even more effectively. If he ain't gonna move his head, get better at blocking. Get better at being able to be not just more aggressive, but also even more fervently able to utilize that power to your advantage. Now with Canelo, with Eddie Reynoso's, against Nestor Bravo, who granted is an incredibly dangerous puncher in his own right. This is not just a fighter that could show the best attributes of this team up working together. This could also be the start of a phenomenal stretch for Isaac Cruz. Because Eddie Reynoso with Isaac, again, it's just another version. I don't say another version of Canelo like in skill. But they both we said this before, they both share similarities in how they go and approach the fight. I want to see this. I hope this works. MS, if this works, oh gosh. Oh my goodness. This works even at 140. This cat could be a champion again. I kid you not. I kid you not. He could be a champion again. Hey, look at this. Y'all better mark my words. We got some problems here. Without the refinement or the elite coaching ability. No disrespect to his father, but Eddie Reynoso is one of the better coaches in all of the globe. You've seen what he was able to do when working with Munguia, and that teaching finally took place or took hold as Munguia trains with Canelo. You see what's been able to happen with that. And you saw what he was able to do with Canelo throughout his whole career. Eddie Reynoso is a phenomenal coach. Eddie Reynoso is a you can call him a somewhat specific style fighter in terms of the trainers or how his training attaches to some and not attaches to others. But if it works for you, good gosh, it's incredible. If it works for Isaac Cruz, everybody at 140 or beyond better be scared. Ooh, they better be scared. Good night, man. That could be phenomenal. I'm so excited to see that. I'm so excited. Thank you for telling me this, because this has made my day. Because if this takes place September 19th, we can see a whole new dangerous Isaac Cruz. More dangerous than we've seen before. Better than the version that beat, or better than the version that fought Tank Davis. From a technical ability standpoint, it could be something of that caliber. And if it is, I, for one, am so excited to see that take place. That's going to be more than just fireworks. Isaac Cruz being harder to beat is a nightmare for everybody else. Oh, I can't wait to see it. I can't wait. Let me see. Crawford is too old. If he comes out of retirement, he's going to lose. And granted, that's been a whole nother can of worms for people talking about the world of Crawford boots. And will that fight take place? Specifically, after what we've seen with Terrence Crawford working in the gym and training. Now, granted, he was working with the likes of, I think he was recently training with Lester Martinez, but of recently, I think as of yesterday, clips were coming out of him working in the gym and actually putting in legit, not just pad work, but straight up, looks like he's training for an actual fight. And even now, with him being potentially over a little over a year out of the ring as we transition over to picture-in-picture, he still looks more than incredible. This is what it looks like he could still, if he got in the ring right now, he would still be a nightmare for most people. Hence, further implementing the idea, people still want to see him back and people still want to see that fight take place. I'm telling you. So everybody's looking at this as not just exciting, but this is further fueling the flames. We want to see Crawford back. We want to see him come through. We want to see him fight. And that idea of Boots coming and getting a fight with Crawford, because of this type of footage, fans are going to start eking for it more and more, calling for it more and more. Now, the one thing I will say, somebody on social media said, if we saw Boots become undisputed and then after that, start saying Crawford's name, getting real disrespectful, that may be the only situation that we could even potentially think Crawford might come back. If he's still able to be in this type of shape, consistently training, similar to what we say with Andre Ward. Andre Ward is always training as if he's having a fight year round. However, he's been teasing, I might come back. For who knows how long now, because he retired in his prime. Crawford, older, absolutely, but still, talent is talent, for him anyway. That happens in less than a year or two, we could see potentially that come back, or him come back. Because, hey, now you're something that's worth my time. And big time money. and huge opportunity to get the legacy and all that stuff. And that's one win that he's said consistently, hey, every time I do something, y'all got something to say. Well, if he beat Boots at 154 after Boots became undisputed, that would be the one fight that I don't think anybody would have anything to say against, except for, okay, you beat him. Somebody had said a couple of weeks ago, if that fight did take place and Crawford did beat Boots, they would put Crawford as he's probably the greatest fighter that's ever lived. If Crawford came back and did that. Their words, not mine. Now that's something, all the hard stakes for people to usurp a GOAT in their eyes, and this is the one thing that would get people to change their mind, might be an opportunity that we could see happen. I'm not saying it will. I'm simply telling you the optics and the legacy and the money for a fight like that would line up. It would. It would. Not saying it's going to happen. Just saying it would as a optics situation. Now, Fantasy Fight Part 2, Crawford versus Julio Cesar Chavez. Ooh, at 152. No, now, I think Crawford would be Julio Cesar Chavez. Even at a catchweight. I think he would be. I think Crawford's a better fighter than Julio Cesar Chavez with how great Chavez was. Granted, understand, if Pernell Whitaker was able to do what he did against him, Crawford would also be able to really control and do damage to Chavez. Now, I will say Chavez could give him similar problems, or not even similar, worse problems than what we saw with Shawn Porter when Shawn Porter fought against him. And Shawn Porter won every round going into round 8 before Crawford knocked him out. It was up like he was what, 7-1, 6-0, 7-0, 6-1 by the time round 7 ended. And Porter was like, hey, I'm up. And Crawford's corner was like, hey, brother, you down. You need to get this butt out of here. And literally coming out, he knocked him out. Knocked him down twice, got his corner to call the fight, and boom. Erased all of that work that happened with Porter on the flip of a switch. That is still a level of flipping the switch I've yet to see most people, even the greats, be able to get into to that high of just a dominant force of nature. Crawford's got that in a way that I've yet to see few people have. Or I've seen few people have that level of switching, flipping the switch on not just the intensity, but just their outright game as a whole. It's just, oh, shoot, okay, I'm going to try it with everything I got now, and I just blast you away like you weren't even a problem. I think Crawford could beat Julio Cesar Chavez if they ever fought against each other. The power going downstairs to the body would indeed be an insane, deliberate issue to try to go and handle. Absolutely. Absolutely. Changing head slots, being able to go through and work with defensive aggression, being able to eat punches, one of the best chins we've seen in boxing history without question, can go for 15 rounds and carry his power and his stamina, even can get a second win is Julio Cesar Chavez, and all of a sudden you feel like you're drowning in a sea of punches. He's the reason why he's considered the greatest Mexican boxer to ever live. At least one of the three. His name lives in not infamy, but it lives in legacy, in a pantheon of greats, without question. But even with that, I think Crawford could beat him. I do think Crawford could beat him. I would love to see that, though. That's a $100 million fight. But I'd love to see it. But yeah, I think Crawford would win. Let me see. You can tell he's getting older. He has a lot of he's a lot, I think stiffer. I think stiffer is what you meant to say than he was. Now, granted, I'm not using that training footage as, oh yeah, that's the Crawford outright. He's ready to go right now. It's simply showing you he's still working. And if, like we see with Crawford before, the whole idea with Crawford is simply, if you give him a year, like he's done the last couple years, where I get my body right, like he said he needs to, in order to prep for a big fight, we can almost assuredly see he will be able to get back to that level of prime ability. If that went that way. I'm not saying it's guaranteed. I'm just saying that's a normal form of operation over the past 3 years for any fight that he's had. One time a year, I'm going to fight. And one time, and I'm going to take a whole year, especially with Canelo, to make sure I got my body completely where it needs to be. Because it takes me, Crawford's words, a year to recover. And when that happens, boom, now I'm ready to get everything done. So if he's still looking good, and this would be within the year build up of regimen. And again, he's staying active all the time. There is an idea that we could see him come back. Or at least the idea is alive, that is feasible to have him come back and be able to potentially still look like the Crawford of old with how we know he preps and gets his stuff ready. Because it hasn't been but a year since he's been out the ring. If this was now, he will be having a fight scheduled in September. Because September is the last time he had a fight, last year. So, we're still in the green at this point in time. Now, if it gets to 2 years, okay, we got an issue. Maybe don't come back. Maybe stay your butt at home. But if you stay within that cycle, and again, we see Boots moving like he's trying to move it potentially, within that year window, get to that level of, hey, I'm undisputed. I got all the belts. I'm the guy that has everything now. And now I'm worth your time and your legacy, as I'm the guy that if you beat me, you get everything that you asked for, where a win would change the conversation even more. You would have something to prove if you went and beat me, and you would have proved it. Now it's worth your time. Come on back. Potential. Again, for those that want Crawford to come back, that's the story and idea going into it. But I would like to see it. I would love to see it, without question. And if it does happen, trust me, we paying big bucks for it, without a doubt. Let me see. It would be a war, though. It would, in terms of the fight with Crawford and Julio Cesar Chavez. I think that Crawford gets him on a win on points. Ooh, in a 12-round fight. That's not bad. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. I'm not upset if you got Chavez winning. That's fair to say, because again, Chavez could go and push the envelope. I just think the combination of being able to be a southpaw like Pernell Whitaker and being able to be a destructive counterpuncher with his, even at 150, even at that weight, a physical freak of nature is what Terrence Crawford is. I think that would be something that Chavez would, even if it got later in the fight, have trouble just being able to overwhelm in the same way of power. And the way that Crawford thinks, Teddy Atlas said it best. He's got one of the best instincts in boxing history that Teddy Atlas had ever seen in a fighter. Ever. Teddy Atlas seen a lot. And it's hard to argue watching Terrence Crawford that in terms of just instincts of your body doing what it does without you even having to think. Crawford's had that in a way that even Marvin Hagler, I'm like, hey, brother, this cat's something different. This cat's something different. Just knowing automatically what to do and doing it. It's more than just seamless. It's not even, it just happens. It was something I just couldn't believe it. Every time I watch him fight, and I'm like, hey, I can't. You can say somebody's better, no question. But it's hard for me to see somebody else that has that in them in that same way of instinctual ability. Not natural ability. We're talking about instincts. The feel of, okay, when something happens in a split second, I just got to react and do the right thing. Almost every time he did the right thing. I've rarely seen somebody do that on a whim. That's incredible. That's what I think will get him over the top for Julio Cesar Chavez. Let me see. Haney beats Boots at 154. Now let's jump into the main course of conversation since we're getting into Devin Haney a little bit more. Haney versus Boots in a mega fight is a potential option. The whole reason why we got this up here It's because in light of Shakur going away, now we need, and Keyshawn Davis going away, now we need to see what is the bigger brass ring for Devin Haney to go and attach and try to get under his belt next. That's the question. Now, this does not mean that we're saying Undisputed still isn't on the table. Like I said, right now he has a unification fight for a title that he is currently looking to get in position to fight. What's his name? We just said it earlier. I'm about to find it. I want to make sure that we actually say this correctly. Who in the world was the youth that he's potentially about to fight right now? He's getting ready to face off against he's currently in talks to unify at 147 his WBO title, I believe, with the IBF championship. Let me make sure I got this right. Liam Parr, that's what it was. Liam Parr, that's who's looking to fight. He's looking to fight Liam Parr right now. So again, I believe this will be for both titles. And if Liam Parr is a champion, let me also verify if he is a champion or not. For again, we fact check it. We want to make sure that yes, IBF and WBO titles would be on the line for that fight between the two. So because of that, and again, thank you so much. We are looking at that would be a great accomplishment, further unifying the division. But again, the big fight that everybody was looking to say, ooh, that's going to change everything, was going to be Shakur or Keyshawn Davis. Less Keyshawn Davis, but still Keyshawn was in there. Now Boots has become a genuine reality to have. Not saying that he'll beat him. We're saying it is feasible because he is now on the hit list. More than anything, he's higher up on the hit list for Devin Haney than any of the other people that were on his list right now. Don't believe me? I'm going to show you right now. Also, well, actually, before I show you, you want to see Tiger versus Haney instead of Paro? It would be more exciting. Yeah, it would be. But again, the legacy of the championships and adding that to your belt, if you do want to go and just rule over the division, I understand. Go on and get it. It's there for you. You almost had 2 big fights already. At this point, take what you can get. That will be the biggest leveraging move to make it so that anybody that comes into the negotiations again, hey, brother, I got 2 of the 4 belts now in the Ring magazine. You ain't going, if whatever I say now, it's got to go. Because I am worth this much, and there ain't no more debate, unlike what we had with Keyshawn Davis and that whole debacle. Further put that to rest. Go on and get the belt, in my opinion. Then go after Tiger Johnson if you want to. Because to me, I think he beats Tiger Johnson. Tiger Johnson would be a great fight. He beats him. Yeah, I think pretty handily because I don't think Tiger is ready for that jump in caliber of technical ability. But still, if it goes that way, it goes that way. But let me show you what I mean about why this would be the next fight that will be on the list. Because per Bill Haney's own social media post and a post that we had covered on this channel, I think over a year ago, he had already put this out as 10 people that he wanted to see, that he wanted to fight. Right here. Right here. This is the, remember? We had this over a year ago. We had seen this very list and covered this very list, the hit list of Bill Haney. Ryan Garcia, Conor Benn, Rolly Romero, Keyshawn Davis, Mario Barrios, Brian Orman Jr., Boots, Tank, Shakur, and Tio. I remember when we covered this entire list. And I also remember when we were saying some of these names were outlandish. Conor Benn was at 160 at the time that this list was made. Rolly Romero, everybody felt he would beat Rolly Romero, and it wasn't going to be a close fight. Why is he there? He's just there. Keyshawn Davis was at 135 at the time that this list was made. Mario Barrios was still a champion. Brian Orman Jr. had just gone and become the boogeyman of the division. Again, he knocked him out subsequently. John Ennis was still at 147 at the time that this list, to my knowledge, had came out. Tank was still active off a recent fight with Frank Martin. Shakur was still at 135, thinking about 140, but hadn't moved up fully. And Tio was still outside of his loss to Kambosos, or excuse me, subsequently after his loss to Kambosos, still reigning over 140. Fresh off of his move from 135. Many of these names we were saying initially, Devin Haney wouldn't be able to beat. Specifically, T.O. could give him some trouble. People were saying Tank would beat him. People were saying, at the time, Brian Norman would beat him. Keyshawn Davis might be too young. And then Ryan Garcia at the bottom was, you just don't want that type of smoke because of what happened to you. But now, this list is completely different. And Boots is a viable option because of all the names that we can get made done for this type of fight. Boots, though he was number 4 here at the time, is the only potential viable and maybe guaranteed mega fight that he can get. T.O.'s at 147, absolutely. Just got there. T.O. ain't won a belt, though. And by the time T.O. does win a championship and get to, okay, hey, we got ourselves some movement. Again, if he beats Rolly, sure, we could get that fight. That would be number 1 choice. If that don't happen, though, and instead we get Rolly, okay, boom, that would be the 2nd choice. But mega fights is what we're looking at. And the mega fights were Tank, at that point in time, Tank and Shakur, before Keyshawn became a real contender for a big-time fight in that vein, and Ryan Garcia down here at the bottom. But of all the names that he can get right now, as I can look forward to making a mega event, Boots Ennis, while he was rated number 4 at the time, is right now the biggest name he can get outside of Ryan Garcia that he can fight with. Outright. And he is 1 weight class away. This fight, like I said before, I said this roughly a couple weeks ago, this fight is possible. This fight is in a tangible way. Whether you think he can beat him or not, he can fight him. And now that some of the bigger pieces, Shakur and Keyshawn specifically, both are not trying to do anything with Shakur, with Devin Haney at this point in time. And Tank still is nowhere to be found except for with DJ Khaled promoting some new shoe. Unless we give Ryan Garcia the biggest fight he can make is Boots at 154. And if he keeps on growing like he's growing, he's going to be moving up to 154. This fight's possible. More than possible. Some people said I was a fool for saying it's ludicrous to think this could happen. It can happen. Because that's right now one of the best options he can take. And when I asked about it publicly on, I believe this is the Boxing Voices podcast, he addressed it directly, talking about why this fight would be something that we could see happen and what it would take to make it happen. But it's something that we could look forward to. And I'll play it right now for you all to be able to witness and see exactly what Bill Haney had to say on the matter.
What you just said in the real world, what you just said would be Devin become undisputed at 47, Boots become undisputed at 54, and they get it on for a mega big fight. I guess it would
Hey, Bill,
probably
I said
be
that. I said Boots he gonna
at
be
54
undisputed.
for Devin's third undisputed, which would tie Terrence Crawford, right?
I thought he only was undisputed in 35, Bill.
No, I said we undisputed at 147 pounds. Boots Ennis
That,
undisputes at
okay, I get what you're saying.
154.
I get what you're saying. At 54, yeah, you right. Yeah.
That would
Hey,
make
hey,
that
Bill,
would
I
make
said
Devin.
that.
Give me a second, King. Give me a second, King. That would make Devin a 3-time undisputed, but that would mean that Devin did his heavy lifting at 135 and then his left heavy lifting at 147, which means that Boots would have to do some heavy lifting that you just said that he was going to do. So good luck.
That is the idea. That's the paintbrush of the canvas of time. That we now know what it would take to get that fight to happen. Most likely. Because again, you're right. Devin Haney moved at 154. For those that think that Boots would,
What you just said in a
hold on, Bill. Hold on, Bill. we don't need you right now. But Boots at 154, of course, most people, myself included, would think that Boots would lose, or that Devin Haney would lose that fight. I think Devin Haney would get beat by Boots Ennis if they fought against it, without question. I'm not denying that at this point in time. But we need to understand, I was never talking about this fight because, I was like, yeah, Devin Haney's going to be able to beat him and all that stuff. Though there is also always a possibility. I was talking about this fight because I was trying to get the public to understand. Fans around the globe. I'm not saying we're a huge fan base, though I appreciate every one of you. Hey, we're going to keep on growing and turn into that conglomerate like we talked about before. But everybody that was listening to me, I kept telling you all of this stuff, we might see that fight. We could see that fight, all because there is a roadmap to get there. We can see a vision to get there. There is a plan of action that could take place that could make this possible. And now that plan of action is so much easier. Why? Because as you can see on, again, to the left of me, is it left of me, right of me, whatever you see on the side of your screen, you can look at this and see the majority of the stuff that we wanted to see done for Devin Haney around him is not possible. Shakur is not possible because of Shakur. Keyshawn's not possible because of Keyshawn Davis. Brian Norman Jr. was on this list and he beat him. Rolly, yes, it's still there. And T.O., it's still there. Understandable. But what used to be a cacophony of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 names, 6 if you want to count Devin Haney, if you want to count Ryan Garcia, excuse me, it has now turned into 1. It's Ryan Garcia 1, Rolly 2, T.O. 3, and Boots 4. 2, 3, 4 names of 10 have been, 40% of the list has been scratched off. And of that list, only 2 would be bigger than anything else that Devin Haney could have. Boots and Ryan. That is actually attainable. That is the new brass ring. Yes, Ryan Garcia, of course, the rematch that we want to get, absolutely. Absolutely. The most immediate thing we can get that with Ryan Garcia, no question. I'm not denying that's the biggest fight currently that is still possible. But what is the future that you're fighting for now? It's Boots. If you can get here after beating Ryan, you couldn't tell me this would not be one of the biggest fights of the year, one of the 3 biggest fights of the year, Devin Haney versus Boots Ennis. For all the right and wrong reasons. If you just want to see Devin Haney get beat, the kingdom come. If you think Boots is going to dominate him, that's the fight that you want to see, and Boots will become not just already potentially undisputed, but beating another undisputed champion, which would further bolster the resume of Boots that people have been saying has been lacking. And beating a top 10 level fighter would elevate him even more. The risk reward is there. There's so much that goes into this fight that could make it major. That could arguably put it on par with the fight with Ryan Garcia because of the accolade implications and how they both have been so fervently in the public eye of talking. Devin Haney, for crazy enough, has gotten respect from people because now everybody's saying nobody wants to fight this brother. Nobody wants to fight Boots. Nobody wants to fight Devin Haney. Now they want to fight each other. Oh, shoot. I can't believe it. Both of them have reached their potential and beyond to become undisputed. Both of them have cleaned out divisions. Oh, my gosh. Both of them now are undefeated. No contest, but you know what I'm saying. Both of them are top, they did do that, probably be seen as top 5 to top 10 in the world. Respectfully, probably both right behind each other, depending on how you have your pound for pound standing. They're relatively close to each other. And whoever would win this most likely would elevate into in many people's eyes, a guaranteed top 5 fighter or even beyond, especially since Shakur avoiding Boots Ennis, avoiding Devin Haney, will probably put him down on some of the totem poles of the boxing public in their own pound for pound list if we see Devin Haney or Boots beat one or the other. There is enough risk and more than enough reward, especially monetarily, to make that fight happen. Even if you think he's going to lose, I'm telling you, this is the fight that we could see. And if it does happen to take place, we would be in such... it'd be phenomenal. It'd be incredible. It would be stupendous. I want to see that more than ever. But that is the angle. That's the angle. I guarantee you. That is what was the cash out fight that wasn't just Ryan Garcia. It was going to be Shakur Stevenson. Now I guarantee you. Again, we're taking Ryan Garcia out of the conversation because we know that is, that's guaranteed going to be a cash out fight. We're talking about outside of Ryan. The cash out fight that would have been, what is all this for? Boots at 154. Now, it was going to be Shakur at 147. But now, that's the one. I guarantee you, that's what they need to bring it up. They're looking at it. They're really looking at it. Let me see. Keyshawn is currently on the shelf. Would have barbecue baked beans and pancake. He is, and I'm gonna tell you this. Keyshawn Davis. When I tell you he shot himself in the foot, Bob Arum has something to say about that. Y'all, I'm not lying when I said this brother lost trust. And I'm going to show you exactly what he said after I read you all his chats and discussion. Haney is better than Xander and Karen. Yes, he is. If Boots continues doing what he's doing in these fights, Haney going to come out with the W. And there's the reality. You can see a visual potential that Devin can win. It's the technical savantism versus the physical freak of nature that is Boots Ennis, who is, we now know the identity of Boots. Like I said before, he's a stock market trader. He's going to walk you down, get in your face, and because of his superior athletic ability and speed and carrying power to multiple divisions, he is going to punch you better than you can punch him. And he's going to make sure you can't get away. And then he's going to break you down and beat you up like he did with Xander or in all the fights beforehand. We know what Boots is now. It's a clash of styles to Devin Haney. Devin wants to get away. Boots wants to come to you. Devin wants to box on the feet. Boots wants to cut the ring off. Boots can be as fast, if not faster, than Devin Haney. Absolutely. But the way he fights, he's more so working to go and make it so that he ain't got to run you down. He's just going to continue to trade with you. Every punch, I'm giving you something better. And I'm going to back you up just by the fact that I'm here. And whatever you throw, you're writing a potential knockout sentence because everything that you throw is in danger of being traded with. There's no punch that you can throw, your jab, your hook, your uppercut, a shot to the body, that I am not going to try to punch with something better. One of the greatest traders that we've seen in boxing history to be able to go and trade a punch with somebody else was Ezra Charles, who is arguably a top 10, top 15 boxer in history. Multiple division champion, over, I think, 90 or 100 wins or so, was phenomenal. A defining fighter of an entire multiplicity of generations. Every time you threw a punch, you knew there was a potential you were going to get knocked out because he was so good at timing and beating you with the same shot that you threw. You throw a hook, I'm going to throw it better and I'm going to catch you. And there's nothing you can do about it. You throw a jab, I'm going to throw a jab of my own. And there's nothing you can do about it. Or better yet, I'm going to throw it straight. And there is nothing you can do about it. You can't get away from me. And when I'm in that mid-range area, I am going to tag you with stuff that you cannot avoid. Because I'm long, I'm strong, and I have the speed to beat you to the same punch that you want to throw. One of the greatest traders not traitor, but traitors that we've seen trading punch for punch in boxing history. Boots, though he does not necessarily talk about that, he shares that idea of what his style is turning into, or rather what his style is, even if he doesn't know it. That is a perfect segue into the things that can beat Devin Haney. Why? Because Devin Haney, what's the best way to beat him if you can't outwork the jab? Well, you trade with the jab with a better punch. And the jab is the best way Devin Haney's kept everybody away from. And what did Ryan Garcia do? PEDs or not, he caught that brother with a hook, consistently trading. Making it so that Ryan Garcia's leverage, length, and speed were null and void. Why? Because I'm going to hit you with something that you not only can't get away from, but it's better than what you're throwing. Every single, as much as I can. When I'm not winded like he was when he had to take breaks in that fight as Ryan Garcia. And we saw the result. Again, PEDs sullied the performance. But the all-in-all effect, it worked. It worked. And for Boots, it can work. But it can also, if Devin Haney is able to overcome that, could be a potential dangerous situation for Boots. Because Boots isn't a good, well, not a good boxer, excuse me. He's a phenomenal boxer. But Boots doesn't like dealing with movers. Boots does not like dealing with movers. Boots is not like dealing with fighters that want to go and move around the ring. Shakur, Karin Shakur did the same person. Karin Shakur was a fighter that still people look at. That's the fight that had everybody concerned. Because his brother was able to box, move, and use the whole of the ring, and we were seeing Boots annoyed and frustrated. Now, we have not seen that since then. Understandable, but still, we haven't seen a fighter do what Shakur did in the ring against Boots. Everybody else, even Xander Zayas, who some people said they had the ability, or he had the ability to move around the ring a lot better than we expected. Was not great moving, couldn't move at all in the ring compared to what Boots was able to do to walk him down. So that same disadvantage was not a factor that we thought would be a potential issue for Boots, lateral movement. But Devin Haney's got that in spades, droves, along with his size. So that shows me there is an opportunity for success. The idea that he can win is not just an idea. We can actually put some evidence in place to say Devin Haney may have a shot, a real shot, even at 154. And that's why that fight is the brass ring. Beyond Ryan Garcia, that's why Boots versus Haney is the brass ring of a fight. Because that fight, more than anything, is attainable and real. And that fight, Devin Haney versus Boots, is the fight that, as impossible as it may seem, the risk is worth the reward for Devin Haney. Because if he's undisputed, Boots is undisputed, and Haney moves up to 154, like we've already said that he wants to, or like we've already alluded to that he probably will because he's still growing. We're going to see that this fight is not just potentially there, but the fact that we can make a case that Haney can win. So all that Haney needs to know to say, okay, yeah, it's worth me taking the fight. Because his brother has yet to duck smoke. And if he does win, good gosh, insane. And if Boots wins, good gosh, it would still be insane. Because that would be the best opponent he would have ever faced. That would have been the very thing that he struggles with, which is movement, that he overcame. And if he beats Devin Haney, well, nobody's probably going to be able to beat him after that. Outside of going up to 168. Because if you can deal with Haney's moving, you can deal with anybody. It's a mixed bag of conversation, but it all boils down to the same thing. This fight is possible. It's possible. It's absolutely possible. Let me keep on reading your thoughts and opinions. And please keep on liking the stream since you're here. We still want to hear your thoughts and views on the world of boxing and beyond, as this is still the championship rounds in the world of boxing. We are still looking to hear your thoughts and opinions on everything involving the world of sports and our conversations of today, whether it's Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis, Boots Ennis, Devin Haney, other fights involving the world, like with Usyk and Wilder, which is potentially going to happen, and that might be the last fight that we see Usyk have in his career. I'm gonna show you what he said per the Ring magazine. There's a bunch of stuff to discuss, and I want to hear what you had to say on the show. If Shakur ducks El Rayo, he should be stripped immediately. Your thoughts? You're doggone right. Let me tell you something right now. We were talking about Shakur Stevenson, and we have some career questions about Shakur. This is an issue because Shakur, right now, when I say he's got to take what he can get, he better. Because everybody's asking a bunch of stuff in a negative light against him. You don't want the big, you didn't take the fight that we said you should take. Devin Haney agreed to the fight that you wanted at the weight class you wanted, and now you're backing away. You gave the opportunity to Keyshawn Davis, your words, not mine, and then he walked away from it, and then you got a chance to get back in the saddle and take that fight that is way worth it, and you still don't do it. And you signed with Zuffa when everybody else signed with the Zone. You ain't got no real prospects, or all of your prospects over at Zuffa are tied up in a fight. The biggest fight you can get is El Rayo, and then wait for Ryan or Conor Ben to have their fight afterwards. But then after that, there's nothing else, and you can still, if you really got the power that you want, make all the big fights that you say you wanted, where you only want big names. With all due respect to El Rayo's not a big name. But if you don't take El Rayo and you say that El Rayo is not worth your time because he's not a big enough name, at that point we're saying, what do you want to do? And this guy is asking, do you really, like what are you about? Where is your career going? What is your plan? What's your plan? Because there's no plan. And it's got people saying a lot of reckless stuff, whether it's right or wrong, about you. Most specifically, one, Showbiz the adult. Now, I'm not talking about the drama with him getting blocked with Shakur and all that stuff. Like I said, we don't get into drama like that. We stick with the fights themselves. But what he brought up about Shakur's career was a good talking point to potentially use in this conversation when I'm having questions about Shakur's career in my own head, about where in the world this is going, because right now what had a bunch of momentum has led to a full-blown stop. And what that exact question is who do you want to fight? And I'm going to show you exactly who it is. In his words, Showbiz, he brought up that where he wants to fight might not be where the majority of us thinks he was going to move or how he's going to move. If I can, well, I hope I ain't delete the clip now. Hold on a minute. Here it is. Yeah, right there. Right here. Let me show you exactly what he said. Again, as a talking point to use in this conversation of Shakur's career. Again, this is Showbiz the Adult, posted by Two-Tone the Superstar, in terms of his reaction to all this stuff with Shakur, Devin Haney, and this whole drama not moving like we thought he should move. What the public's reaction may be feeling about him. Let me just make sure you all can actually see it correctly. Okay, there we go. There we go. Here we go. And I'm going to play what he has to say. Well, I do want this to go smooth, so let me make sure we got everything on the up and up real quick. Okay, there we go. Here we go.
This is the weight class I think he's at. 147? No. The class he holds the belt in? No. Shakur Stevenson, in my opinion, is at whatever weight class his op isn't best at. Oshaki is a 130 pounder. Say he'll move up to 135. I'll fight him at 135. Murataya is too big for 135 now, trying to move up to 140. He said, I prefer 135. Conor Ben, shrinking down to 147. He was just fighting at 160. He wouldn't be as best at 147. I fight Conor at 147. Devin Haney has filled out at 147. Now that he's filled out at 147, I fight him at 144.
Now, that breakdown of his issue, again, I'm not getting into the drama between them. I'm not getting into all that stuff because I'm not getting into any of that. That's whatever's happening over there with Shakur and Biz and all that stuff. That's not me. I ain't got no factor opinion or right or wrong or what the word's going on. That is not my place to say. I'm strictly talking about this clip, that quote, his opinions, and and essentially asking, is he right in that regard? Because at this point in time, you said it best. If he ducks El Rayo or doesn't fight El Rayo, he should be stripped. Yeah, because right now, he is in a contradictory standpoint. With everything that we just said with Shakur Stevenson, coupled with what we see now with Shakur versus Devin and then Shakur potentially versus El Rayo, and his own words about, I want the big fights. I signed here to get the big names. I'm not concerned with championships. His quote, that's him. That's him. That's not me making stuff up. That's his words. I'm not concerned with undisputed. I'm not concerned with being a multi-time champion. I just want the big names. His words. And the big names were in front of him. He didn't take it. And we know there are names that Shakur may feel is not worth his time. With that being said, it's a walking contradiction. Some will call that hypocrisy, as we say it multiple times on this show. Hypocrisy.
Hey, look at this.
Right now.
We got some problems.
We got to ask that question because right now Shakur seems hypocritical. Shock called him out at 140. He said, I'll come up there. When Shakur was at 140. And then Shakur's talking about, okay, I'll fight Devin Haney at 144. But he wanted to defend his title at 140. He said he wanted to fight Gary Antoine Russell at 140, yet he could have made that fight right now, but nothing's taking place. Murataya was wanting to come to 140 to take his belt, and now he's here at 140, but Shakur is still saying, I want to fight at 135. It's still entertaining. I want to fight at 135 for the title. However, he's not going after Shakur Foster, who again, 135, 140, he is right there for the taking, and you went to him. He didn't go to you. Yeah, he called you out over social media, absolutely, but you stepped in the ring with him and went to his face, yelling just about in the ring at O'Shaquie, saying you ain't nothing after he beat Raymond Ford. And yet you still have not made a move to go and say we gonna make that fight take place. And Shaquie has still been saying your name and calling you out, and you've been crickets in that point in a drama that you, in part, also helped to build up. Because you said you about that action as well. What the world? You still got Dalton Smith. You still got, again, like we said, Gary Antoine Russell there, which we mentioned earlier. You can still be undisputed right now if you wanted to, if you can really make the fights that you want. But again, you clearly don't care about the names. But all the names that you can get are locked up with either a fight or they're in negotiation with somebody else. And the fights that you did want to make, you're making, I'm not excuses, but you're making situations difficult after they've been agreed upon. Like with Devin Haney, because you said you wanted it at 144 and he said yes. And then you didn't take the fight at 144. Why? What's the issue? What is the holdup? And you're still talking on social media like you were the guy that got backed out from the fight by Devin Haney and it was the other way around. It is a walking contradiction of Shakur Stevenson with all these recent moves that we've seen made that has been exacerbated due to Keyshawn Davis not taking a fight with Shakur, which now that should leave you open. It's easy to make the fight. But you're the one that went on social media and said and paraphrasing, we are no longer going to be talking about that fight. It's never going to happen. His words, not mine. His words, not mine. I will pull it up on stream so you can see exactly what he said. That's his words verbatim. We will never get that fight with you, or rather, we'll never make that fight with you. That's what Shakur said. For what reason, I do not know. Why? It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me. And it's just, there's so much frustration. Right here, here it is. I'll pull up the quote right now. I'm pulling it up right now so you can see. And we're gonna read this together. And I quote with again some explicitives taken out. I'm too real for this fake mess. I allowed these same dudes who played games with me years ago to amp me up and get me hyped for a fight that's not even going to happen. This is my last time letting these dudes clout chase my name when at heart I just wanted a fight on the terms that was agreed on. I won't be entertaining the circus anymore. Sorry, boxing and boxing fans, but you will never get that fight. Doors closed. Those punks could mention my name, but no more response from me ever again. Excuse me, but no more response from me ever again. Hashtag him with the crown and all that stuff. His words, quoting August 4th, 3 days ago. He shut the door on a conversation, again, he started with terms, again, he set that from that he then backed out. There is hypocrisy in this sense that we can't ignore that is hurting the career of Shakur. Because the questions now become into play with this taken in effect, and there's no bigger name than Shakur that you can get, and you're not fighting your brother at all in Keyshawn Davis. And El Rayo, from what you've said personally, is not a big enough, is not the name to fit the bill for a big time fight. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? If based on what you said, what are you going to do? You've made it confusing. It's a web right now. I'm not saying it's a web of lies, but it's a web of tangled nets, tangled silk that you just can't. The more we've seen time going on these last couple months, the more confusing it's been to not know what the word you're going to do. Because you've had multiple opportunities with multiple people to take fights on multiple accounts in multiple terms, either at the division that you wanted or at the division above, and you ain't done it. You're saying you want 135 and 140, but when a fighter says, I'll fight you in both, you don't fight him at all. Oh, Shakur Foster. You say you want the name, but you don't take the fight when he agrees to the terms of the name or with the name in Devin Haney that you wanted. For what reason, I still don't know. Keyshawn Davis is a huge name for all the wrong reasons, but still a major name, and you have him still. You could fight him at 147 or 144 or 140, whatever the case may be. But again, you said you'll never fight him at all. It's kind of running out of options right now. And you got people, Showbiz and others, saying the same sentiments. Your next fight is going to be wherever your opponent is not his best at. Is it fair that he's saying that? I'm not saying it is. But I am saying it's concerning because that type of sentiment is getting drawn by a public persona of people. Wider than just haters. Wider than just people that don't like you fighting. Wider than just people that think you're not that good. That's not what's been affected now. Now your reputation is being affected by people that actually care about you. They actually followed you. They actually know what you're about and what you do. That respect your ability. Now they're saying all these things as well that are making you in your identity as a fighter that you just elevated to from Tio, get back drawn down from what it was before you fought Tio. Which is, brother, we don't like you anymore. And we're tired of wasting time. Like we've seen with Tank and others, we don't want to just bring up Tank every time, but Tank is a prime example of most of these issues. People are just tired of wasting time. They're tired of wasting time. They're tired of not knowing and understanding. They're especially tired of you pump faking like you Carmelo Anthony. We need you to make a decision because now it is real. Everybody that is of your caliber of talent and or caliber of name, they gotta fight now. Or they're talking about a fight now. T.O., Rolly, Ryan, Connor Ben, Devin Haney, Poro. Everybody's got something moving except for you. Everybody's got something moving except for you. And you're the one that's making the most noise right now. No wonder we see you and Keyshawn Davis working, being so tight together. In some ways, y'all move the same way. Both of y'all talk a lot. And we're not mad at that. We're not mad at that. But both of y'all are also pump faking a lot. At least in recent years. Or rather recent months. Like we see right now. How is it that both of you all had the same shot at the same person and none of you all got that fight? How is it that both you and Keyshawn had the same shot at the same person? A literal, the second best option and the best option of a fight that we could get with somebody moving up to 147 and Keyshawn Davis and Devin Haney. And both of those fights fell through within less than a week when they were talked about, both of them, for over a month. How does that happen? How? And it fits everything that you said you wanted for that fight to take place. It doesn't make sense for the outside perspective. And even those inside the business world are saying don't make sense either. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. And that's why we're asking Shakur career questions. Because guess what, brother? There's a concern about this man's career going forward because there's a whole bunch of conversation that should not be had about Shakur that we're having now that is hurting the reputation and hurting his opportunities to get other fights because we don't know where stuff is going now. Off of the demands that he said. It's so confusing. It's concerning in every which way. In every which way. What would he be stripped of? Shakur doesn't have a belt in Zuffa yet. Well, no, he does have a belt. He is still currently WBC champion. He is still currently WBC champion. And though he's signed with Zuffa, he has not been stripped of the belt, unlike what we saw with Jai Apataya. Hitchens gave up the belt. Apataya got stripped of the belt at cruiserweight. Shakur's still champion in Zuffa, but he's not Zuffa champion. He's the WBC. You know, what's going to happen whenever he does get a fight? Who knows? But as of right now, he still reigns as a champion of there. There should be consequences for ducking, in my opinion. No, and you're right. You're right. And again, normally it is you get stripped of a fight. Granted, this wasn't a mandatory opportunity. He would have been moving up to fight the champion at a higher weight class. So he wouldn't get stripped for that because you're not avoiding a fighter in the weight class that you are in. But still, this fight was fitting what he asked for, and he's not taking it. That's where the problem comes into play. Let me see. Haney showing major improvement every fight. That left hook weakness might not be a problem. It might not. And he displayed that against Brian Omer Jr. Absolutely. He has gotten better. With James Toney, we think he can be even better. We hope he's even better. Him and Ryan Garcia are training with James Toney. At least have had James Toney come into camp with them. that works out phenomenally. That's going to be a dangerous sight on both accounts. He is getting better. I'm not denying that at all. Whatever risk you may think he has against certain fighters, that's fine. But we can't say he ain't improving, or he's getting back to form what he used to be. Let me see. The only way that Keyshawn can redeem himself is to fight Brian Norman Jr. What's your thoughts? And I would say yes, but that's not going to be the only way. It's going to take more than that. And I'm going to tell you why. And let me read the rest of these chats because I want to make sure I don't leave anybody behind. But I'm going to tell you why Brian Norman won't be enough. It can help, but it won't be enough, in my opinion. Keyshawn versus Norman will be the ultimate test for Key. Like I said, let me read these chats and I'll get into it. They gotta stop picking on Wilder. Oh, in terms of Usyk and Wilder, yes. For those of you who didn't know, Usyk and Deontay Wilder is a actual potential fight that can happen. Those just to quickly go and pivot to that segue of talking point, only because we want to make sure we cover as much as we can to make up for what happened, us not being able to do a show yesterday. But yeah, it is true. Usyk and Wilder are indeed in position to talk and get a fight with each other. It's not fair, but in terms of my opinion, I don't want to see it. But that's what's going to happen. If Usyk's team wants it, I will do it. That could potentially be the last fight in Usyk's career, off the backs of losing to Rico, and I believe relinquishing all of his belts at heavyweight roughly a couple weeks ago in light of the fight with Rico. Hey, you do you, I guess, but are we happy? Nah. Should have been Moses Itama or Caballero? Yes. And I hate it. I despise it. I can't stand it at all. It's a shame to me, but it's what's going down. Like I said, I'm at loss for words because I can't. This is a fight I did not want to see ever happen, but we are where we are. Trust me, we gonna have. That ever does get confirmed, we're gonna have a lot to say about that. But yeah, other people should have had the opportunity to beat Usyk outright instead of Wilder with them relinquishing the belts. Have somebody take it from you rather than just you having to give it up. That's me. But again, everybody teach their own. Also, Timothy Taylor, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for showing up and tuning in to the show. Don't worry, I'm still gonna get back to that whole Keyshawn conversation with Brian Norman. I'm still gonna get back to that. Let me just read the rest of these chats so I don't let anybody fall behind in the conversation. The WBO, by immediately allowing Keyshawn Davis to become Devin Haney mandatory, then they must do the same when Haney petitioned WBO to fight Boots Ennis. That's a fair thing to say. That's fair to say. 99% of boxing media and content creators all calling Shakur and Keyshawn Devin Haney. Most of them are. Again, I'm not trying to jump on the bandwagon. I'm just trying to be like, oh yeah, everybody's saying this and this is how we should feel and all this stuff. I'm simply talking about the reputation of Shakur is getting hurt because of this. And Keyshawn Davis. I told you all, the stuff that Shakur and Keyshawn do, they're connected at the hip. It affects each other, whether they know it or not. And now they're both getting dragged because of the other one's inability to do something in the same situation. We're seeing two boats get dragged down by the same tide because the same anchor is stuck. That's holding the two boats together. Legit. It's a shame, but that's what's going on right now. And to some degree they did to themselves with how they approach this move in boxing. But again, we addressed that before and we'll come back to that conversation. But right now, when dealing with Keyshawn Davis specifically, Callie asks, the only way Keyshawn can redeem himself is to fight Brian Norman Jr. My thoughts on it, it's not enough. Though it is a start, it's not enough. I need you to understand this crystal clear. Understand this crystal clear. Do you hear that? You hear all that noise? That is not a crowd cheering. That is the amount of jeering and uproar going against Keyshawn right now. We can say we want about Shakur Stevenson in this whole Devin Haney situation. Keyshawn Davis is still immensely worse. People are calling Keyshawn Davis's move against Shakur Stevenson one of the worst moves we've seen, not just of the last 10 years, but in history. I said in the last 10 years. They're saying in history. One of the biggest ducks in history because he asked for the fight. There is a cacophony of noise and boos and lack of respect that Keyshawn Davis has from everybody, including its own promotion. Why do I say that? Because Bob Arum, in light of going through and talking about or reacting publicly to this whole fight not going down, had some pretty starch words for his reaction against Keyshawn Davis. Now I'll let you see it right now to be able to see what exactly was said. And I quote, "Listen, I'm an old man. I don't know what the thinking is. I don't have a stinking clue. Not one." Again, for the sake of being brand friendly, for anybody who wants to sponsor the channel, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We're going to try to keep it clean. But listen, I'm an old man. I don't know what the thinking is. I don't have any stinking clue or any idea. The 94-year-old Bob Arum told Fight Freaks Unite this weekend or this week. We went out and tried to make this fight for him because he shot his mouth off that this was the fight that he wanted. And when we made the fight, he doesn't want it. Arum described himself as being totally perplexed by Davis's decision. Davis has yet to make any public statements as to this reasoning. Bob Arum said Top Rank offered Davis, the former WBO lightweight title holder, $3 million for the fight, and that his biggest purse to date has been slightly over $1 million. Again, I'm gonna go back to the biggest sentiment of this whole thing. Bob Arum, totally perplexed. We tried to make this fight for him because he shot his mouth off that this was the fight that he wanted. And when we made the fight, he doesn't want it. Brian Norman Jr. will not fix this at all. This idea that you talked to me in terms of Bob Arum, that you wanted to fight, and I went out of my way to make the fight for you, and you didn't say you don't want it no more. Again, thinking in the mind of Bob Arum, probably thinks that Keyshawn Davis is acting like a spoiled child. I can guarantee you, the last part of this whole thing was Keyshawn Davis is yet to make, his biggest payday was a little over $1 million. I can guarantee you, monetarily, Brian Norman Jr. will not come close to that. Or at least it will be significantly less than what he wants to get to, that $2-3 million range. Because reportedly, Keyshawn Davis thought he was worth upwards of $5 million in net revenue. That means after taxes, after paying his manager, after paying the commission fees and all that stuff, he was going to make a net profit of $5 million after he fought Devin Haney. And that's why he went and did not make this fight. Bob Arum, I guarantee you, is going to look at Keyshawn Davis and say, never again will I give you that amount of money. Never again will I advocate for you to have that level of push and rub and absolute power to say what you want unless you can go and string together a slew of wins to earn my respect back, let alone the boxing fan base. And again, the whole quote or the whole sentiment with him asking for $5 million, I'm gonna post it right here so you can see via Mike Coppinger, posted by proxy from the Source of Boxing Twitter channel. Keyshawn reportedly wanted a net of $5 million to fight Devin Haney after managing fees, and his career high has only been $1 million. In order to even sniff $2 million from this point on, this brother's gonna have to go on a run at cleaning out the entire division. In order to sniff the idea that he's gonna get to a position to be able to get back to the tops of the boxing globe, he will have to clean out the entirety of 147. And every win be by knockout. I'm so serious. I'm so serious. he will not redeem himself strictly from beating Brian Norman. In fact, the only way he can start this redemption path is to knock out Brian Norman completely and utterly in destruction without any hiccups. If he even struggles against Brian Norman or has a decent performance, not good, not great, decent performance in a win, he will be stagnant. And it's going to take even more work. He's got to have a string of absolute lights out victories and earn his right to get in position to fight Devin Haney and others. Become the mandatory by fighting instead of just by being gifted the opportunity because somebody made a call. Keyshawn Davis had literally everything put in front of him. Jay Prince advocated for him to get to number one spot. Was given an opportunity to fight against Devin Haney, who was just off the backs of being in the circle of conversation with Shakur. This was one of the biggest fights that people wanted to see. People started buying into it and saying we wanted to make it happen. You had won off of a convincing but somewhat concerning win against the likes of Albright. And the last performance that people that remember the view still didn't sully the idea you can make bank and be able to still get to this is a position that you asked for and wanted. To do all that and to get Devin Haney, and now your catalyst or your consolation prize because of your mistakes, your lack of movement, or your lack of willing to do what Bob Arum gave you an opportunity to do because you just wanted more money. When you, let's be perfectly honest, he wasn't worth $5 million. Because he's not nearly the big time star that we see with Devin Haney. It's not comparable. It's not. Teofimo Lopez is a bigger name in the grand scheme of boxing than Keyshawn. This is not disrespect. It's because of what he's done. It's because of what he had been touted as. He was one of the not just prodigal sons of the sport when he started really doing the takeover. This cat was legit beating top 10, the number one fighter in the world in Lomachenko, Josh Taylor. He'd been in the ring and reigned at 140. He had been in the public eye, good or bad, for significantly longer, accomplished way more and beaten better people. He was a bigger name than you. This fight was to get you to be worth $5 million plus. This fight would have opened the door to make you worth $5 million, $6 million. You'll get that as a baseline. But you thought you were worth that now without the work. You hadn't even done the work. You had not even done the work to this point to get that fight. You hadn't even done the work to be put in that same stratosphere. But you were given this opportunity. And we said, hey, we knew it was going to happen eventually. This is sooner than we expected. But hey, we're glad it's happening. Now is your time to show us you deserve this position. And you walked away. Because you thought I'm too good to get paid this much for this position. And it should be a whole lot more. It's a lot. Brian Norman Jr. is not nearly going to be enough to set you up to be able to get to that threshold. Your reputation is going to be in the dirt unless you go knock out every single brother at 147. We're talking about Arnold Barboza. We're talking about Rolly Antio. We are. Everything is going to be terrible to work out because of how you chose not to move. And if Brian Norman Jr. was good enough to get you respect, it would have been when Brian Norman Jr. was on top and you beat Brian Norman Jr. before Devin Haney got there. And now you being champ, Brian Norman was the guy, the boogeyman. Devin Haney moves up and now you are in Norman's spot. Yeah, boom. One win changes everything. One win doesn't change everything this time around. You got to earn the public's respect and your own promoter's respect. Because Bob Arum, I guarantee you, he lost respect. Not as a man, but as a fighter. He lost respect. Without a doubt, he lost respect. He lost it. He lost it. He lost any incentive to push you in the same way. We may not see this man get a fight up until 2027. We may not see Keyshawn Davis get a fight up until next year. We may not, with the amount of damage goods that he's going to bring to the table. But if you thought 3 million wasn't good enough, and you only made $1 million, anything that potentially is at $1 million is going to be seen as chump change to you. What other fight's going to get you that level of money that you're going to be willing to accept? None of them. And you can't move down to 140 to get any of the other reputable names. What's there to do? What is there for you? You shot yourself in the foot. You shelved your own career elevation for the time being. You moved in a way that caused you to suffer when you didn't need to suffer. And as sharp as my hairline is right now after getting a fresh cut, that's how cleanly you cut your own legs from under you from where you were in your career. And Brian Norman won't be enough. Arnold Barboza might not be enough. It may take you becoming unified. It may take you legitimately going on such a demonstrative tear that you turn into, okay, we gotta fight him now. Because you've lost the respect of your own people, let alone the fans that support you. The promoters and fans that were backing you, you lost them. There are going to be people that won't even want to pay to see you fight simply because they're disgusted by this decision. I guarantee you, it's going to be so bad. It's going to be so bad. It's going to take years, potentially 2 years plus, to go and get this back into good standing. Mind you, 2 years in boxing, that's a long time. A lot can change in 2 years. You could fall further behind the 8 ball in 2 years in boxing. All because other people are making moves. It's an ever-changing ecosystem. And if you're stagnant, you get left behind. And you never get that opportunity ever again to be the front runner in the race against time when it comes to boxing. You lost it. And it's all. And again, I can't blame nobody but yourself because you did this. You did this to yourself, and it's a shame. That's what we're dealing with. Keyshawn Davis lost respect and Keyshawn Davis lost support. Keyshawn Davis is never going to just have one fight that fixes all. He's going to need at least 2 years of not just highlights, but demonstrative performances without a hiccup, not a sniff of a hiccup. And probably he's going to have to become a champion, making $750K before he can get this opportunity to make $1 million plus potentially again. Because without trust, there can be no money given. Without trust, there is no leverage. Without trust, there is no manner of money to be handed. Because there is no way I can give you the satisfaction of you making bank if I don't think this bank will come through on my end as well. Like I said last week, the boy who cried wolf is what you were. And now that your bluff has been called, Keyshawn Davis, you are not going to get help to kill the wolf the next time it comes around. You're going to have to kill him yourself. And if you die in a field empty. And the only people that are going to be around to see it are going to be the sheep that followed you out to pasture. That you were supposed to say, I'm going to protect your belief in me by going through on what I said. And you're going to bleed out, turning that field from green to red, all because you called the bluff and you said there was a wolf and nothing was there. And now that you want to actually make something shake, ain't nobody gonna be there to help you. Until you show us you can kill a wolf on your own. With your hands red with its blood, its coat on your back, its teeth around your neck in a necklace. If you don't do that, nobody's gonna believe in you. From the higher up perspective. But you brought that on yourself. You brought it on yourself. And shame with you brought it on yourself. Let me see, anyone who are UFC fans, or anyone who are fans of UFC knows Dana White is 100%, is 100 times more ruthless than any boxing promoter. He's not going to pay Keyshawn Davis a bunch of money to fight C and D level fighters. Oh gosh, not after this. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. And we thought, normally we were saying that Zuffa was a big time payday for big time fighters to make big time moves under their banner simply because they're trying to get a bunch of names out there. Keyshawn Davis lost that leverage too. You think that Dana White, with how stingy his butt is going to actually give you any money to potentially say Top Rank don't want you and potentially nobody else does either? We're going to pay you what you're worth. No, they won't. Because you're desperate. This is Zuffa's best experience. This is exactly what Dana White wants. Get a fighter who is still big, but they need me as a last resort, and now they got to come to me. Y'all gotta come this way because there's no other choice. This is exactly what Dana White would want. This is the perfect scenario. I bet he hopes they drop him today, Top Rank, or they just let him expire so he can just scoop him up and put him in his stable. Why? Because now that's an easy, cheap fighter I can pay that will still get people talking. And he ain't gonna make a bunch of money. He might not even get a title opportunity simply because he's with Zuffa. But guess what? We got Keyshawn under our belt. If the fighters suffer, the fighters suffer. That's what we've seen Dana White do with the UFC. And we know those same habits are gonna eke into the boxing world sooner or later. And with Keyshawn Davis, if it does turn out that way, we're gonna see it happen. I guarantee you. Let me fix my camera just a bit. I apologize. I didn't mean to hit the mic. But that's what we can see take. I guarantee you that's what we can see take place. I guarantee you that's what we can see happen. Without question. If Shakur says he will never fight Devin Haney, Keyshawn Davis, Hitchens, Foster, and Garcia, and Rowley said they would never fight him, then who is Shakur going to fight? And the answer is nobody. If Shakur doesn't think that if Shakur only wants the big names, El Rayo and others are not a big name outside the people that you named. So there's nowhere for him to go based on what his own sentiments were. Keyshawn is one bad loss away from being treated like Andrade, Andre, Boo Boo Andre, after he lost to Dave Benavidez. Andre hasn't had a big fight since. Yes, now granted, it's because of his lack of activity. He could have kept on fighting and gotten his reputation back, but similar situation, nobody cares. And now your prime potentially wasted away. We don't want that, but that's what could take place. Let me see. What is it? Was it? Is it Jose Rodriguez? I think. Excuse me, saying. I think it's Jose Rodriguez. If I'm saying it correctly, I apologize if I'm not. But how you doing? Good to see you. We thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the show. Thank you for showing up and showing out on our stream. Haney is going to be bad for you. Don't do it. Boots too much for you. Stay in your lane. Perfectly fine. And again, switching gears, going back to the conversation with the likes of Boots and Haney. Granted, this is the championship rounds on every Friday. We let you talk about whatever you want to discuss in the world of boxing and beyond. We want to hear your thoughts, your opinions, your takes, your point of views, and all of your debates for us to be able to witness and enjoy and have your voice added to the conversation so we can hear what you have to say on whatever topics we're discussing or anything you want to ask without question. But to this point, Haney is going to be bad for you. Don't do it. Boots too much for you. Stay in your lane. We don't want Devin Haney to stay in his lane. If we want to keep on seeing Devin Haney be forced to be the best that he can be, we want to see him pushing forward. Devin, it is a top-heavy division, but Devin Haney also is leading that division. Ryan, Conor Ben, Brian Norman Jr., excuse me, Keyshawn Davis formally, but now that fight's not going to happen. than Devin Haney. Arnold Barboza will probably see Devin Haney beat him. And Teofimo Lopez, excuse me, that's the other guy I forgot. Rolly, if he beats T.O., Rolly's in that conversation as well. But with Devin Haney being 27 years old, 27, 28, there's a more likely situation he's going to be forced to have to move up to keep up with his body's maturity. Once he hits 30, he'll probably even out. But he's still growing as a person. It would behoove him to do as much work as he can, but he's going to be forced to face Boots one way or the other if Boots stays around long enough at 147 and we see Devin Haney move up potentially within a year, year and a half, especially with the way that he can't seem to get a fight down here. It seems like he can't get a fight down here at 147 right now. No matter how hard he may want to try, he cannot seem to get a fight down here at 147. Even Rolly, way before this fight was even in conversation, was saying, I don't want to fight Devin Haney. That brother's boring. You'll go to sleep watching him. I never want to fight Devin Haney. If he keeps up with that trend, even if he beats T.O., he might not still never fight him. Devin Haney can't get a fight down here. So he may have to be forced to say, you know what? It's been almost a year. I've had nothing significant going on, and everybody's been pump faking me. I'm telling you, like everybody's turned into prime Akeem Olajuwon and prime Carmelo Anthony because they pump faking the Kingdom Come and baiting everybody to jump. No moves are actually being made to get in the ring. I got to go up to a higher division just to get some action worthy of my name and pedigree and my status as a big-time fighter. That's why I'm saying don't let him stay in his lane. Because if we let him stay in his lane, we may not get a fight with Devin Haney right now. We might not get a fight. It could be a whole world where Devin Haney may be forced to go out to 147 because nobody wants to get in the ring with him. At all. That's the biggest conundrum. Living up to that Debo moniker. We said it was a fluke. Now it's turning into everybody's literally scared on the block or just ain't really wanting to smoke. No matter how much they may talk. We never thought I'd see this in reality of Devin Haney being looked at as genuinely an avoided fighter. Right now he is. It's the craziest thing to say. Let me see. Keyshawn owes De Los Santos to fight too. Don't forget he ducked that fight on the scale as well. Yeah. Now, with respect to that sentiment, with De Los Santos getting knocked out, the likelihood of that fight happening, I'm not exactly sure. It would most likely have to be still Keyshawn would have to work with Zuffa while signed with Top Rank to make that fight happen. Now, does Bob Arum want anything to do with Zuffa? I don't think so. Would that be a fight that would make sense to happen because of the previous lack of actual happening with the missing weight? Maybe we got ourselves a conversation there. It would be along that same Brian Norman, De Los Santos level road of fire. It would take multiple fights against multiple people to get that respect up. But he might not even be able to get that fight with De Los Santos because of the very aspect that he signed with Zuffa. So again, because he didn't make this move, even logical fights that he could make are shot to Kingdom Come. All because the brother just ain't make the fight that he should have made. It's the craziest sentiment I've ever seen where somebody has just whittled away their own ability to make fights off of one decision. Because what he's going to make for that fight is going to be chump change compared to what he asked for and what he thinks he's worth. He's nowhere close to being worth. And now that's not his manager's fault. That's not his team's fault. That's Keyshawn's own words. He's the one that's living in delusion about how much he deserves to be getting paid. He can't fire nobody because the whole reason why he fired people was because I'm trying to be better. And lo and behold, he's worse than where he was when he was with his old team. I tell you, man, it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. The craziest downfall done in this way I may have ever seen. It's the most preposterous sentiment. It's a shame, man. The only reason Bob Arum hasn't dropped Keyshawn Davis is because Keyshawn and Abdullah Mason has the same manager. Maybe so. Like I said, better people have better behind the scenes sources to understand the whole situation surrounding who manages who's under who is in control of whose career from the perspective of the monetary, cutting the checks and making the fights. I'm trying to be as robust as I can in said information. I may not have everything. Absolutely. Go to other sources that have that information on tap better than me. I completely understand where I may be deficient at in information. So I give you that warning to make sure you check everything for yourself. With that being said, having the same manager maybe is the only thing keeping him there. It would be remiss if Bob Arum did just let him go and walk away with the Wolves, because he can still make money. The only problem is, even with them having the same manager, they're both moving completely differently. And in fact, let me switch this up. I want you to hear this clearly. I want you to hear this clearly about Keyshawn Davis. This is something, I saw this on social media. Somebody said this better than me and put it perfectly. I can't remember who the user was, but somebody said this on social media way better than me. With Abdullah Mason and Keyshawn Davis, this is incredibly important. Where's my sample? Hold on, where's it? I want you to listen to this and listen to this close. Listen here. Abdullah Mason today is what Keyshawn Davis was supposed to be right now. Somebody said that on social media, and truer words have never been said at this particular point in time. Abdullah Mason is what Keyshawn Davis was supposed to be right now. Reigning at 135 is Abdullah Mason. Keyshawn Davis was coming up and looking like he was going to reign at 135. Getting a championship and becoming the youngest person in boxing, Keyshawn Davis was supposed to be a champion at 135 and being one of the youngest champions in boxing. Going through and defending his belt and potentially getting big-time fights with others in the division, Schofield, Tank, Lomachenko, who's now coming back, and others. Keyshawn Davis was supposed to get big-time fights in position like with Tank, like with Schofield, and like with a returning Lomachenko. Abdullah Mason right now also was in position to fight Murataya up until Murataya moved up to 140. Keyshawn Davis could have been able to fight Murataya at 140. But as we know, and at 135 he could have fought Murataya. But as we know, he's missing weight. Abdullah Mason is staying better discipline. Abdullah Mason is taking championship opportunities when he is not making nearly as much money as we can see him make down the line, but he's taking the fights anyway. He was on the undercard of Keyshawn Davis for the fight with De Los Santos. And because De Los Santos, the fight fell apart with Keyshawn making weight, Abdullah Mason became a main eventer. The first main event he's ever had. And since getting that position, he's taken the ball and kept on running. Since Keyshawn Davis became a main event level star, he stopped running with the ball because he felt he's too good for the quality of the ball. Abdullah Mason has been moving in the same hunger that we thought we would see with Keyshawn Davis, but we are not seeing that. While Keyshawn Davis has gotten to the position that we said he could be as a star, but yet when he got there, he didn't want to take a step up until he felt he got what he deserved. But he overpriced himself. While Abdullah Mason, though we feel he can be getting paid more money, sure, He's just getting the fights because when he takes the fights, the money will come afterwards. With legacy comes money. Devin Haney and Keyshawn Davis were potentially going to fight each other. Abdullah Mason and Keyshawn Davis could have been able to fight each other if, again, Keyshawn had been able to get his weight in control. But again, grown, understandable. But the biggest juxtaposition in this whole situation, if Abdullah Mason was in the same position as the likes of Devin Haney and Keyshawn Davis, he probably would have taken that fight. And we say Abdullah Mason and Keyshawn had to face off with each other when they were going to fight at 130, when they were on the same card at 135, and it was like, ooh, Keyshawn Davis saw some fear in his eyes. Oh, Abdullah Mason wasn't nearly as vocal as when he was face to face with Keyshawn Davis. With Keyshawn Davis, after doing all that noise, when he was face to face with a fight with Devin Haney, didn't get as vocal, and all of a sudden went quiet and walked away. The parallels are eerily similar. But at this current standing in time, all of a sudden, that same hunger that we said wasn't in the eyes of Mason when he faced off against Keyshawn Davis, now we're seeing it as he's applying that hunger in the ring and taking fights consistently, moving consistently, working consistently, regardless of the amount of money, because he's working to get to the point where the money now is just a given. That's what we thought Keyshawn Davis was going to do. But he stopped when he got right to that threshold. Abdullah Mason is what Keyshawn Davis was supposed to be right now. Because we all thought Keyshawn Davis was going to move in the same way that we see Abdullah Mason moving as a champion. Taking hard tests, taking big time punches. And once you get to this threshold as you are a champ, you can demand to move somewhere, you're going to take it. You got to take what's coming at you, because that is the nature of a champion. When you are the king, or get to a point where you're one of the kings, you got to defend your crown. And we were saying that Keyshawn Davis was ready to take on the crown. We could say that he wasn't better, but he was. More people were saying this cat, he can't beat him. And this is your time to get your shine. Walked away. But with Mason, it's been, at this point in time, constant work. Constant work. It's a parallel that I didn't see up until somebody said it on social media. And it's more true than I ever thought. Because when I look at how we talked about Abdullah, how we talked about Keyshawn, the performances that they did, the excitement, the grandeur, all of the potential, everything that we were looking at with Keyshawn Davis and Abdullah when they were starting out, it was eerily similar. And now, with how Abdullah's moving versus Keyshawn, his story in Abdullah Mason was what we were supposed to be Keyshawn Davis writing. His story with Abdullah Mason was supposed to be the same story that we see written about Keyshawn at this stage in time. But because of his own greed to some degree, he made potentially the biggest mistake of his career. It's a shame. It's a shame. I never saw that parallel till now. But it's real. It really is real. At least to me, it's real. Multiple reports saying Bob Arum offered Keyshawn $3 million again after the first bid, and Keyshawn still declined. His career might be in the rocks. Do you see it? There. I believe those reports are true. From what I understand, those reports are true. Do you understand why we talk about a fighter feeling themselves too much can turn into a dangerous weapon? This sport has always been about getting money. It's a business, the business of boxing. There's no debate in that. There's no argument in that. There's no concern about that. The business of boxing is the business of boxing. Whether it's Shakur or Boots Anderson, Devin Haney, or Shakur Stevenson getting ready to fight and all that stuff, the business of boxing is the business. It's about making paper and getting out the sport. Leaving a legacy if you can. Absolutely. But you want to get out with your head intact. But there is a significant understanding that people have to recognize. You cannot skip steps. You can't skip steps because at some point in time, it's going to bite you in the butt. At some point, it's going to bite you in the butt. You skipping steps. Jake Paul, you moved through the needle. You kept on fighting and getting big time main event level stardom without main event level talent. And you kept fighting old people. You kept fighting old retired fighters. You kept fighting UFC people, but you kept making bank. You kept making bank. And what did that cost you? Because you skipped steps in becoming a real, legitimate boxer. You got your jaw broken in 3 places, and there is a real opportunity you may never fight again. And if you do fight again, you're at a high risk of ripping up your mouth to a potential that it will never be the same. Even with the titanium plates in your jaw right now. And your active professional athletic career could be done. All because you kept jumping, and when you finally went to somebody that was well above you, you got put in the blender. Again, skepticism, because I still think this brother was on some stuff. My personal opinion, no evidence involved with it. This is not slander. This is optics based on what I've seen. This cat's head and face should not have been able to be conscious with the shot that AJ landed on him, pinned to the post literally. I have some strong implications this brother might be on some stuff. There's no way that shot should not have put him out. We've seen punches with better chins get caught with less stuff from AJ and be put to sleep where they aren't up at all. Something still smells fishy about that. But again, it's not slander. Skepticism, simply speculation, no evidence involved. Don't come try to get to me, because I ain't saying nothing that is, I'm saying this is true. It's just how I think. Something just looks off, but it wasn't. So I ain't gonna say nothing else. Just know, you saw the consequences of his actions skipping steps. We've seen in boxing, you can't go and force yourself into a position. And then when you get there, if you aren't really there, you are going to push yourself out. Or rather, the sport will eat you up and spit you out. That's what the struggle is with Keyshawn and anybody else. And it's a signifier that a fighter that thinks that they're more than their worth without the work being done will inevitably shoot themselves in the foot because they aren't privy to the market. They are too high on their own supply, beyond just, I know I'm good. And because of that, they are going to make themselves their own worst enemy. David Benavidez, I can promise you, for over 10 years, at least over 5 years, David Benavidez should have already been a main eventer. Already. David Benavidez should have already been a main event level fighter 5 years ago. I can definitively say that. He was that good at that point, let alone when he finally did become a main event level star in the grand public ability. But what did he do? He just kept on fighting. He just kept on pushing. He just kept on moving and was never overzealous of understanding that the money will come. I just need to push the envelope. I had some hiccups. I did some drugs. I got on the white stuff and I lost control. And it cost me my title. But I got it back. I got myself on track. And I worked like I needed to work. We got there. And then boom, when we got there, never let that go. Never let it go. That's the quintessential evidence of moving regardless of your worth. And even with that, he understood what his value was and still didn't let that stop him from getting to where now he can make oodles and oodles of money. Briefcases can now be brought to him because he's working in not just legacy, but he did the work before caring about the actual weight of money. He didn't get himself cheap, but even understanding what his market was, he didn't let that stop him from being what he needed to be, which was a killer. Keyshawn Davis lost sight of that. Other fighters have lost sight of that. And because of that, they are now, and Keyshawn is now the prime example of what happens when the money and your self-appointed value is too narrow to understand the business of boxing. And when you let that lens get foggy and you can't see the broader scope of the sport, of where you are in the sport, you get stuff like this. You get situations like this where now you wish you were back at that point. Because you would say, I would never make that decision again. But because you didn't take a step back to see what the opportunity was, what the situation was, and what you could have in the immediate, let yourself go. And you lost yourself in your own value. And because of that, the business killed you. Or rather, you let the business kill you because you didn't see the greater scheme. It's a shame. But that's what took place with Keyshawn Davis. I saw a post last night coming from Cali. I saw a post last night. Jay Prince wanted 30% of the $3 million purse, and that was on the table. And Keyshawn was not having it. Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah, I saw that too. I think it was upwards of $600,000 was what Jay Prince was asking for. And it's a steep price. Oh, yes, it was. Absolutely. Oh, it was a business. From my perspective, I was saying, yeah, that's way too egregious of an amount of money that you should be giving as a manager, whatever the word his position was. I understood it. I understood that. You should have negotiated with him and say, hey, brother, that's egregious. Rather than you nixing the fight outright. Oh, it is bad. And like I said, the business can take advantage of you. It's not fair. It's not right. Jay Prince in that position was wrong. Absolutely, he was wrong. But if he let that stop this opportunity, but he still would have walked away with at least with at least over $1 million, and subsequently afterwards could have made $3 million. I wouldn't use Jay Prince after this, but if he asked for that much. Because again, he was wrong for asking for that much money. That is inexcusable. That's ridiculous. You're not the one fighting in the ring. You deserve a good cut. Not that much though. At least wait until we get an even bigger fight. Now, okay, hey, maybe $600K for that basket ain't that much, but still. It's like I said, it's a cacophony of things that cause this decision to be made. Let me see. Joanne Guzman was equally more talented than Keyshawn Davis, and he never became a boxing star. And potentially this opportunity was never even able to be given in this type of way. The perfect storm of opportunity fell in Keyshawn's lap. That's what I hate. That's what I really don't like. The perfect storm of opportunity, where other fighters may be better or worse than him, didn't get. He got in front of him, advocated, and the public was lapping it up. And I'm not going to say it's once in a lifetime, but he sure enough may not get this chance again. When potentially better fighters or people as good as him are not getting that same opportunity either. This is the significance of this decision. Again, I'm not trying to turn this into a Keyshawn Davis episode. Like I said, again, Haney versus Boots. I still would love to discuss more about that. The more stuff with Shakur Stevenson, I still would love to discuss about that. Usyk and Wilder, all this stuff. We're not getting into turning this into just a Keyshawn Davis show. I'm not trying to do that because we still have so many more questions that people want to have. Absolutely. We still want to hear your thoughts and opinions. But the last thing I want to say directed to Keyshawn in this whole conversation. The whole issue with this, Keyshawn Davis went and ruined an opportunity that to some degree, some people may say he may not have deserved in the same light. And the lack of understanding that stuff like this may only come around once because boxing is so fickle. Look at the rest of the landscape. It took Crawford how many years to finally get Spence? Almost his entire career. It took Caballero knocked out Big Bang Jang and was in position to get a fight with Usyk. That fight is no longer happening with Usyk because Usyk dropped the belt. If Usyk and Wilder is the last fight of Usyk's career, Caballero will never get the chance to say, I beat Deontay Wilder and get all the money that fight would be, even though he still is in position to win a title. And he should get that shot. He won't ever get it. He may never be able to fight Tyson Fury. He might not ever be able to fight Anthony Joshua if Anthony Joshua retires. Because if he loses against Fury, this might be it. If he wins against Fury, it might be it. There is so many people were jumping head over heels trying to get a fight with Tank. And Tank never gave anybody that was deserving of a shot against him a fight. Never, except for Ryan Garcia. That's it. During that whole era where Tank was at the zenith of his popularity and Ryan Garcia was also there, Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, Lomachenko, all of them, the only guy that got the fight was Ryan Garcia. No other champion got a shot at fighting Tank. No other champion got a shot at fighting Tank. And they were better than Ryan Garcia. The sting about Lamont Roach in that fight with Tank was because that fight was probably the last time he'll ever get a chance to say, I can beat Tank, because he'll never get a shot at Tank again. Most likely. Most likely. Benavidez was more than deserving to get a fight with Canelo Alvarez for a number of years. But if John Ryder got a shot, Munguia got a shot, Skull got a shot, Terrence Crawford got a shot. And Benavidez never even got looked in the direction of Canelo. Or excuse me, looked in the direction from Canelo. Due to his lack, not even lack of stardom. He was too dangerous. We're looking at a fighter where it's every single time we're seeing the same story that screams the same sentiment. Whether it was Lamont Roach with Tank getting a rematch, Isaac Cruz getting a rematch, Benavidez getting his fight with Canelo, Caballero never fighting Usyk, Usyk nearly never fighting Tyson Fury, Terrence Crawford almost never getting his shot at Errol Spence, and subsequently Tank not fighting anybody else that was a champion outside of Ryan Garcia, who wasn't a champion. We keep seeing the same story that I keep telling y'all. This sport is not fair. And these opportunities are something that when we say you may not get it again, it's for a reason. It's not just to blow smoke. It's not just to be threatening. It's not just to be, ooh, spooky. You better be afraid that you get all the money that you can. We're saying this because we've seen time and time again, the sport of boxing is for the hungry, the elite, and to some degree, the fortunate. Because you can be hungry and not be fortunate. You can be elite and not be hungry. You can be fortunate and not be elite. The amount of combinations of different stuff that can set up a fight to have or have not be a reality in the ring. The combinations of things that can take place to have a fight be an actual, tangible evidence of a fight that can happen. The amount of tic-tac-toe moves that can be done and connecting of the dots that can happen just between those three categories of fortunate, hungry, and elite in talent. Any of those combinations can get you a title opportunity. At the same time, any of those combinations can get you a bunch of money. And any of those combinations can be the very reason why you never get the opportunity you deserve. Because this sport does not forgive, and it is relentless in what it wants. It's an entity in and of itself as much as it is a business. And it's not fair. And so when you have this in your back pocket, not even in your lap, and you think you're too good for it, most of the time, not all, but most of the time, you'll never see that chance again. And the only way to even get to that chance again, you have to be perfect for multiple years to get that shot again at whatever fell in your lap as not necessarily take it or leave it, but don't let this opportunity pass you by. That's what we saw Keyshawn do. That's what we saw Shakur do to some degree. Do you know why it's less intense that we're talking against Shakur for not fighting Devin Haney than we are talking with Keyshawn Davis for not fighting the same brother in Devin Haney? It's because Shakur is already at the top. He's already at the top. He made $10 million against Tio. And his baseline now is 5. He's there. He's there. I'm not saying he can't afford to let this opportunity go away, but he's got a way better cushion than Keyshawn Davis. League's better. Keyshawn Davis is gunning for other people. They're not gunning for Keyshawn Davis. Keyshawn Davis is looking to get a fight with these other names. These other names are not looking to get a fight with Keyshawn. We can say that about Shakur. People are looking to fight Shakur. He's doing the same thing for Keyshawn. It's a difference. And with that type of pyramid that Keyshawn was at, where he was in the middle of the pack to moving up, but still in the middle of that pyramid, and you got elevated to the top in one fight and potentially take this opportunity, you don't take it because you think you're too good for the top? Because it's not sharp enough for you? It's not shining enough? It's not sparkling enough? Man, this sport might never give you that chance again. And you're going to wish you were back where you were with De Los Santos. If your career keeps falling, it can get really bad. It can get really bad really quick. Really bad really quick. Man, I'm telling you, it's hard. It's terrible. Let me see. What is Benavidez going to do when Jai call him out in September after his fight with Ryan Garcia and Conor Ben on the card? So this is actually a really good point. It's a really good point because Benavidez, Jai Apataya is currently slated to have a fight. Is it Melanicki? I believe he's fighting Melanicki at cruiserweight for a champ. I want to say. Well, the question is it for a championship or not? Yeah, here it is. I had to make sure I was reading it correctly. Jaya Bataille is fighting Melanicki for the Zuffa Championship. The Ring Magazine belt, yes, but the Zuffa title, because again, he got stripped. If we see Jaya Bataille win against Melanicki, though it wouldn't be for a full-blown, the Ring Championship, but the Zuffa title would be on the line, Benavidez will probably still say no. He'll probably still say no. But it's because of the reason that he said earlier in regards to why he doesn't want to fight with Zuffa. It's not Apataya that he's scared of. It's made it abundantly clear. The issue is not Jai Apataya is a fighter that I just don't want to face off against. He asked the same thing that people are asking with Shakur. Why did Jai Apataya go and fight with Zuffa when all of us, literally your entire competition, is here with DAZN on any of the platforms, Quisenberry, Matchroom, PBC, Top Rank, or anybody else? Why did you leave when everybody was over here and you know the people that are paying the checks don't like the people over there? It's going to be hard to make a fight over there because we don't want to hold that belt. We don't care about the Zuffa Championship. Even if it's at the expense of we give up the chance for the Ring Magazine, we don't care about that belt. We're not going to do anything to make that organization and give that belt that has no validity. Because that you're worth my time. But if you come with that belt is nothing I want to be attached to. Because them in the organization, Dana White, I don't want nothing attached to. That is the dilemma that Jai Apataya is running into. And that's the dilemma that Benavidez most likely is going to say, it's easy to fix, brother. Leave them. Void your contract. Come sign with us like you were supposed. You made a mistake. You made a bad decision. You thought Dana White could get you these big-time fights. Lo and behold, Dana White is left on an island and potentially is not going to be negotiating with people outside of Ryan Garcia and his team. Because the people that are at my level, we don't want nothing to do with them over there. We want you. We don't want Dana. We want you. We don't want the Zuffa belt. We want the ring belt. We don't want that big silver thing that comes with it. No, we don't. And he'll probably still say no. He'll probably still say no. And don't be surprised at because of him saying no. Either he will look to get another fight at cruiserweight to take a different belt, and or he will go. Actually, is he the majority champion? Hold on, wait. Hold on. Let me look at how many belts does Benavidez have right now. Before I continue, hold on a second. How many belts does Benavidez have right now? Okay, WBA, WBO. He holds two. He holds two of the four right now. IBF is up for grabs at this point in time. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for the IBF since the IBF got stripped from Jai Apataya. He fights whoever is going to be in that fight, potentially. I'm not exactly sure how the whole makeup's going to work. Or if a fight's already scheduled. I just know that's the more likely situation. And then, if we still see Jai Apataya with Zuffa, we would most likely see Benavidez go after Bivol, go after Archie Beterbiev, and with them looking like they might actually get a rematch together, the winner of that faces Benavidez at 175 for the undisputed title at light heavyweight. Or we go to heavyweight and we press our luck, move up, and we're campaigning to go for a title in the new division and a new era of heavyweight boxing. Those are the three things that we can see go through when it comes to David Benavidez, in light of Jai Apataya still calling out Benavidez, but still being with Zuffa. Again, the name of Jai Apataya is not worth attaching anybody else's name to Zuffa, who despises Zuffa and Dana White. If it was a Shakur level name, a Canelo level name, a Usyk level name, a Bivol level name, we would be having a different conversation. Simply because I gotta get him. But Jai Apataya, with what's potentially still around Benavidez's ability, in terms of 175, light heavyweight at 175, cruiserweight at 200, and heavyweight at 200. Plus, I got options so I can still move up and down if I really want to. Why still attach myself to you? Again, advertise not the problem. It's Dana. It's Dana. I guarantee you, talk to the fighters, talk to the promoters, look at interviews with other people. It is Dana White that people do not trust. It is the organization that people do not trust. It is the Ali Act provisions that people do not trust. It is the essence of Zuffa, rather their existence, that has people doubting because they've seen this story before in the UFC and they know what's trying to be done. And I guarantee you, people don't trust it. Not right now. Not right now. Let me see. With Beterbiev, Bivol, and Jai connected to Turkey, it's nobody for Benavidez to fight if boycott Turkey connected fighters. Yeah. Well, hold on. With Benavidez, with Beterbiev, Bivol, and Jai connected to Turkey, it's nobody for David Benavidez to fight if boycott Turkey connected fighters. Well, all of them are with the zone. The only boycotting that would be done is Bivol avoiding the fight with Benavidez like he did the first time. And also avoiding the fight with Beterbiev like he did the third time. When Beterbiev was saying, but I thought we were supposed to get a rematch after you were healthy. What's going on? The biggest equation that's been, we haven't been able to get a fight between those two, has been Bivol. Yes, he was injured, but since coming back, still no indication he's going to actually push for, we going to get that fight with one or the other. Because I gave up the belt to fight Beterbiev, and then I walked away from the fight with Beterbiev. Yes, to get surgery, but then subsequently afterwards, I'm still not really entertaining that fight, and I'm not entertaining the fight with Benavidez. So triple B's, 1B is still the one causing the issue in that triumvirate. It's Bivol. But because they're all with, even though Turkey's with Zuffa, in terms of connected to Zuffa, him connected with the ring and how he's been moving in the ring makes people say, okay, we can at least trust this side of Turkey to make moves over here. Over there, with him, Turkey, we may trust you, but you and him, he is the X factor in Dana White. That's where stuff can get a little bit concerning. So we don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. Let me see. Jerome Holmes, how you doing? Good to see you. We thank you for showing up and showing. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait a minute. Let me get my soundboard right. Wait a minute. There we go. We thank you for showing up and showing out on our stream. Salute to you and everybody else in chat. Please, if you would, be so kind. Keep on liking the stream. Keep on sharing the show. We appreciate all of you being here with us. We've had over 300 people show up on this stream, and we just at the 2-hour, 30-minute mark. My gosh, this is incredible. I love this conversation. I love the discourse. I love to talk. We want to keep having your voice. It's still the championship rounds on this show, where every Friday we have you all voice your opinions on whatever topics you want to discuss, you want to debate, and have you control the flow of this show. And if we can talk about it, we can be about it. Be respectful. Now, we ain't trying to go crazy, but we want to hear from you and have your voice be added to the conversation. And if you want to support the channel, hey, shameless plug, I got to do it. We have Cash App, PayPal, links down below in the description, and super chat, super gifts, stickers, and all that stuff. If you want to keep on supporting this show and make this the best that it can be, we're like PBS. We can't do this without viewers like you helping us out and supporting this channel. It helps me to pay the bills, and Lord knows they are high, but also helps me to go and edify this show to make it better for you all to listen and enjoy, and to turn myself into a multi-millionaire. Oh yeah, we're trying to make bank, baby. We're trying to make big bucks, baby. Oh yeah. But I can't do that without you all. So please keep on supporting the show. Keep on supporting the show. And keep on having fun with us on the show. And please, just share the show with everybody that you know. Even if you can't give, one like and one share helps us out oh so much. But keep on putting your chats in the description and let me keep on hearing what you have to say. Benavidez versus Crawford is probably the only super fight for those two. I'm going to tell you this right now. That would be a preposterous fight in terms of a mega fight event. Absolutely. He's never fighting him. He's never fighting. I can promise you. I can promise you, Benavidez and Crawford is never going to fight. They will never fight each other. Crawford even looked at Benavidez straight up and was like, "Errol Spence looked at Benavidez and was like, but I'm not fighting that cat. You see him? I'm not fighting him. I'm never getting in the ring with him." That's Errol Spence, who don't avoid nobody. Terrence Crawford was like, I ain't fighting that cat. That's a different menace. But I will say this. There is that would be a preposterous fight. I promise you. Benavidez and Crawford would never fight against each other. I think Crawford recognizes he is way too big for him. Way too big for him. But in the off chance that did happen, in the off chance that we saw Terrence Crawford beat not just Canelo, but beat David Benavidez, dare I say at 175 or even at cruiserweight, if we saw Terrence Crawford beat David Benavidez, that would be, I'm putting him up there with Roy Jones Jr. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I'm telling you right now. I would, if he beat David Benavidez now, forget boots. If he beat Benavidez at any weight class now, I would put him in Roy Jones. He's probably the third best fighter I've ever seen. If he did that, if he did that, it is Sugar Ray Robinson, it is Roy Jones Jr., and it is Terrence Crawford as the three greatest fighters I've ever seen. Move over Henry Armstrong. I'm telling you, move over Ezra Charles. Move over Sam Langford, Sugar Ray Robinson, or Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Marvin Hagler, Ali. Move them over. If he did that, that might be that might be the third greatest fight I've ever seen. If he did, that would be one of the most, that might just be a more preposterous win. That would be a more preposterous win than what we saw against Canelo. That's a 135-pounder beating somebody at 175 or above. Moving up. 135, 140, 147, 154, 160, 168, 175. That's 7 weight classes. From where he started to where he would fight Benavidez at minimum. That's 7. At worst, that's 8. That is the legitimate gap. 135, where he started his career, to cruiserweight would be the gap of Manny Pacquiao from 99 pounds to 147, 8 weight classes in one fight. Good night. That might be that. He'd probably be the third best fighter I've ever seen. He'd probably be definitively. He'd be the third best fighter I've ever seen. If he did that, I would lose my mind. You think I talk about Inoue in an insane pattern? You probably block me if I saw Terrence Crawford do that. I would say he would kill Floyd Mayweather. I think there's a good chance Crawford might be able to be prime for prime. I would love to see that fight between Floyd and Crawford. If we saw him do that, already him beating Canelo, this version of Canelo was something preposterous. He beats Benavidez and Canelo. I'd say he killed him in 5. I don't care. I'd say he killed him in 5. I would say he killed Floyd in 5. I would say he would be the best out of all the 4 kings if he was in that era. I would say that if he went and beat Benavidez. That's how great that win would be. Ridiculous. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. That is. Oh, just thinking about that would be reckless. Reckless, I tell you. Let me see. Dubois Moses would destroy David Benavidez. He has no punch that can hurt him. Well, we said the same thing about Zerto Ramirez. And look at what happened. It's not about the outright damaging power. It's about the concussive reps of punching. Benavidez has never been a one-punch guy. How did he hurt Yard? He beat him up and kept catching him with stuff. How does Usyk beat most of his people? It's not just one-hitter quitter, even though now he's got one-hitter quitter level power like we saw against Daniel Dubois. He had to build up to the weight of the opposition, absolutely. But it was the volume that Usyk had that was able to destroy people. Ali had some great hands, and he had what, don't let people fool you. Ali could put you out in one punch, but most of the best performances he had was damaging because he just kept tagging them with stuff that they couldn't stop. Even with the light, he made Ali made Joe Frazier. Let me make sure I say this correctly. Muhammad Ali made Joe Frazier quit on his stool. The man who never quits. The same brother who George Foreman himself in an interview years later said, I was hoping Joe Frazier didn't look down at my knees because they were knocking against each other. That's the only man I was scared of in the ring before a fight was Joe Frazier. Because I've never seen somebody that tenacious. I was legit scared. That same Joe Frazier, who the fight had to get stopped, not by him staying down, but because his corner stepped in, because he just kept getting up. That Joe Frazier did not get out of his stool in his last fight with Ali because of the damage that was done. And it changed his career forever. Just like all those fights changed Ali's career forever. But it wasn't just because of outright power. He kept getting tagged with punches. Concussive and consistent level punch precision. More importantly, concussive and persistent level punching. Benavidez took out Zerto in 5 because this man threw over 600 punches just about in less than 5 rounds. And almost 40% of them landed. So quick, he was getting hit with 4 shots a second. The power isn't what makes Benavidez so damaging. The speed. It's the speed and instantaneous. You're getting hit with mild power, but it's mild power 4 times. Like again, you're getting hit like that within a second. It may be the same level of force, but it's the same level of force at the same spot 4 times in less than a second. And he almost blinded Zepeda. But it wasn't just because of power. And even with the power that we saw with Zepeda, guess what he did against Zepeda? He had that butter rocked. It's insane. His ability to be a heavyweight is because he would be the fastest fighter at heavyweight. His ability to fight at heavyweight would be that compared to everybody else up here, I am fast like lightning. Y'all think Usyk got hand speed. Y'all thought Andy Ruiz got hand speed. At heavyweight, I'm going to look like a blinding force. Call me tan lightning. Because I'm punching so quick, nobody in the division can see it coming. Y'all think a Talbot's fast up here. I'm faster than him. And I'm better well-rounded. And I got better offense. Even though he's got substantial power. And again, he's got phenomenal offense in his own right. Yes, getting caught, getting hurt, getting rocked, all that stuff would be dangerous. But I don't think we understand the real ability of being able to be so quick that you're scared to throw. Because it's not just, oh, he's going to pot shot me. I'm going to hit you with stuff that and you feel it. Oh, shoot, I'm not just stung by the speed, but this is damage that's building up. This is damage that's building. This is damage that is getting concussively worse and worse because he's punching so fast at the same level of power. He's not pulling anything. So you doggone right, my eye, I can't see. I'm bruised up. I'm getting caught and I can't hit him back. I can't get him back because I'm not quick enough. And I can take the punches, but he's punching 6 times now, 8 times now. I gotta block some of these. And ultimately, boom, you see what happens and he goes and takes him out. Yeah, Benavidez, the punching power isn't what makes him scary. It's the speed. And that speed can change his whole division at heavyweight. Absolutely. Let me see. Moon Man, how you doing? We appreciate you on the show. Thank you for tuning in to our live stream today. Please keep on liking the stream, sharing the show, and supporting the show monetarily if you can. We'll appreciate all of you being here on the live stream and keep on giving your thoughts and opinions because it is a championship rounds. Yo, what's good, man? What do you really think is next for Benavidez after this fight? Didn't go through much. He's the most exciting crowd-pleasing fighter in the world. I would say what's next for him is probably going after the IBF championship. Like I said earlier, the IBF title, that's probably the most value thing he can get for now because he already took out Zurdo and Jai. I really don't think he's going to go after, only because he's not going to work with Zuffa. So it's probably the IBF he'll go after for a belt. In terms of specific names, let me pull up the list of the top 10 in cruiserweight right now, so I can give you a full blown opinion. Yeah, it's. I mean, see the problem with cruiserweight. There's not much once you get out of Jai and Zurdo and Benavidez. Not because nobody else isn't good, but it's because most of these guys have been cleaned out by the top already. And because he beat the top, everybody thinks, he'll be fine. You know, if he can fight Perez 32-3 and defend his belt, but he'll beat Perez. Bellum Smith, he can fight Bellum Smith. Good power, a really brick house level fighter, big time puncher. But if we saw what Zurdo did to him, oh yeah, Benavidez is gonna mop the floor with him, most likely. You know, Nakia's 12-1, but do we really think that Nakia's gonna be able to beat Benavidez as slated right now? Most likely not. And plus he's ranked number 5. There's no belt to really go after. He beat Zurdo. Safar is 20-0, but he's number 2. And it's kind of just like, if it wasn't for, well, I can't even say Noel because they're not fighting for, it's only the rank that Noel's fighting for. Yeah. I think the only thing that he might look after now is to go, if he wants to stay at this division and still make some moves to accolades-wise, probably go after the IBF championship. And because it's vacant, because that belt is vacant, we could see him fight. I don't think he's ready for it at all. I don't think he's ready at all. But we could see him fight Vidal Violent. We can see him fight Violent, who again We saw him fight before and become, I think, the British Commonwealth champion. And he's ranked number 2 in the IBF as a whole. And number 1 spot right now looks to be vacant for Box.live, which is a pretty decent source for kind of looking at the landscape of the rankings of boxers as a whole. But the YouTuber who became a legitimate boxer, who did it the right way, and now is 14-0, just had a great performance and became, I think, the British Commonwealth champion. One of the most prestigious titles over in the UK, that if you win that, you're real to go into the world of the big leagues in the championship level boxing and be successful. He's the best opportunity he might be able to fight as of right now. Right. Vidal Riley, which would be an insane not rags to riches, but kind of like a built up story of, yo, he did it the right way and now he's in the midst of the biggest in the sport. Credit to him. And that brother can actually fight. It ain't no fluke. There ain't no YouTuber skill. That he mopped the floor with a lot of people. He legit is good. But it might be him versus Benavidez for the IBF. And after that, unless they can come to an agreement that Jai and Benavidez go against each other, it might just be he goes to heavyweight. Either B-ball, Benavidez, or heavyweight. One of those three is going to be the thing, most likely. Crawford looks like he's 190 now. Well, Crawford looks 190 because he ain't been in the ring in a minute. I will say that. But, like I said, 168, he looked great. He's a physical freak, so 190, he probably can fit it just fine. Will he go up there? I don't know. I don't know. Let me see. Let's not forget Shakur Leonard. Oh, yeah. I think I brought him up as well in terms of where Crawford would be at if he did beat Benavidez, which would be preposterous. But if he did, yeah, well, we having those conversations. David Benavidez has only beat 2 current champions in his career, in Anthony Durrell and Zerto. Neither was great champion. David still need an equal dancing partner. Well, that's the problem when we're looking at David Benavidez. David Benavidez needs an equal dancing partner. David Benavidez has been trying to get an equal dancing partner. David Benavidez has not been fighting bad competition. For the most part, David Benavidez has not been able to get in the ring with people that should have been able to fight him. And if he was, he would be able to have this level of better, robust resume that we expect of somebody of his caliber of talent because he's so great. Again, now granted, he's done so much in 32 fights. He's moved a whole lot quicker than Boots. Let's be clear. He's 29. Boots is 30. He's had 32 fights in his career. He's done way more than Boots. So Boots, if Benavidez's resume ain't great, Boots' resume is in the gutter at that comparison. Because even if you want to go from elite all the way down to the bottom of the barrel, Benavidez face off against better all-around competition than Boots at the same, just about the same trajectory of career at this point in time. And Ramirez is the best opponent he faced outright. Anthony Yarde, that's a great name. Morrell, don't forget Morrell. Morrell is a great name. Morrell, at that point in time, was undefeated and was seen as the biggest dangers to both Benavidez and Canelo at that point in time when they were fighting against each other. Gvozdyk was a former champion that went 12 with Archie Beterbiev, the only loss that he had on his resume. Understand there was a layoff in between that time? Yes, absolutely. Context still is required. But Gvozdyk, that was not a bad name to have. Boo Boo Andre. Everybody kept saying, Boo Boo kept saying he was ducked by everybody. And Boo Boo was a problem for everybody. Undefeated at that point in time as well. And Benavidez beat him in 5, beat him in 8. How many rounds was it? Was it 5 or 8? I forget. How many rounds was it that he beat? I think it was 8. If I'm wrong, please, excuse me. But Caleb Plant, off the backs of his one loss, I think his one loss was to Canelo. Directly after Canelo. So still before he completely dropped off the map, he went and beat up Caleb Plant. And before that, Darrell, as we discussed earlier. David Lemieux. Well, I think it was 20-0 with like 19-something knockouts at that point in time. One of the heaviest hitters that we had up here in the world of 168 at that point in time. Yeah, it's like I don't see these names being bad when so at least when I've seen, like, this cat's got a resume. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, David Lemieux was 43-4 at that point in time, but many of those wins was by KO. But yeah, since after David Lemieux, he went on a tear with significant big-time names, so 5 of them, with Plant, Andre, Gvozdyk, Morrell, Yard, and then ending with Zerto. So the biggest of names, the Bivos, the Canelos, the Better BFs, in fights like that, he was never to get. Those people that were on that same playing field, he was not able to get those fights. But anything under that, he got. Anything below that, shoot, people that Canelo didn't even fight, he got, and he beat. So I can't say, I don't think he doesn't have those names. I think he does. I think he's more than proved himself at least in my opinion, about what he has as a fighter, about what he is as a champion, and about what he's proven as at this point in time in his career. Yeah, I'm reaching my peak, but there's only a couple names that y'all want me to fight outright because everybody else I'm out the floor with. And that's the greatness of Benavidez at this point. And we call Benavidez to some degree an uncrowned king. We do. We call David Benavidez an uncrowned king in the sport of boxing. Not because he hasn't done great work beforehand, but simply because the icing on the cake, the fight to get that crown, he was never given. Yes, he got it with Zerto as beating somebody that many people say, don't forget the conversation that we had with Zerto. If this cat's really like that and he beat Zerto, okay, everything that we thought about this cat is true. Because the going in sentiment, he should have lost to Zerto Ramirez. The going in sentiment, Zerto is too big. Zerto has the combinations that you need to be able to compete with Benavidez, and Zerto's going to be too strong of a puncher, and Benavidez's power is not going to affect him at all. And that speed won't save him. And the size differential that he has over everybody is no longer a factor. Benavidez is going to be able to meet his match, and he's not going to be able to overcome it. That was the talking points going into Benavidez versus Zerto. He beat him so dominantly. Everybody's questioning why in the world this was a close fight in the first place. That was his crowning moment. The guy that was supposed to be on his level, he took out. But he should have had it beforehand. And even now, when that crown of reigning sentiment should continue, he doesn't have it as solidly as you would want it, simply because the other fights that would help to add jewels to that crown, when in Canelo, Bivol, Better BF, have not happened, but not because of his own fault, like we've covered before. If they did, we'd have a whole different conversation. Because they don't, it's a frustrating sentiment, but it's one that if it keeps up, we're going to keep on having these questions about, people are going to be saying up until he gets those names, he hasn't fought somebody that's been a real on his level threat. Only two, everybody else was ho-hum. Forgetting the context that those fights had, that even though they weren't top of the top, they were close to it. It's just going to take one of those names to happen. And we hope it happens soon. But that's why I say heavyweight might be the way to go. Because if he goes to heavyweight, I don't care who it is at heavyweight. It's heavyweight. Benavidez beating anybody at heavyweight would be insane. Benavidez winning a title at heavyweight would have a whole new stratosphere of conversation. But nothing can be said against him going at heavyweight and fighting and winning at a division that even more substantially than cruiserweight, he has no business being in from a optics perspective without having a big name under it. That's what I'm saying. And because of that, he can thrive. Or he can have the wins and the respect even without having the biggest names because of the threat level that heavyweight is. But if it's not heavyweight and it ain't Jaya Pataya, people are going to keep on, not you, but people in general that have a sentiment of he hasn't beaten many people, they're going to keep holding that sentiment up until Bivol or Canelo or Better Be have happened. And right now it looks like they won't happen. Not because of Benavidez's fault, but because this ain't happening. It's frustrating, but dang it. That's the case at this point in time. Let me see. David wasted a lot of years staying at 168, chasing Canelo, when he should have been at 175, chasing Bivol and Better Be. I mean, hindsight, yeah, we wish he didn't wait that long. Granted, his body could still be there. So his body could still get down there. So why leave? It's like Sebastian Fundora. Why leave 154 if I can stay at 154? And I'm making 154. So I'm going to be at 154. We wish he moved up, but again, at least it wasn't past 30 that he moved up to these divisions. He's doing what he's moving up at the same age, relatively, that we see with Boots, with being 30 years old. Benavidez was 28 or 29 at that point in time, fighting at light heavy. No, 28 fighting from 168 to 175. Boots at 29 fighting at 154 or 147, moving into 154. So we're still going to get the best Benavidez from this point on. Thankfully, he didn't waste the time to the point that now he doesn't have anything left. We still got a lot of years so we can still have a prime Benavidez reaching the zenith that can be also successful and still get the fights that we want. Because eventually he's going to be a name that if you want the money, I'm the only guy that you can go to now. All of you who avoided me, now you have to come see me. So that's what I'm excited to see, absolutely. Let me see. If Key fights Jose Ramirez, knocks him out when Devin Haney ran from him, does that put him in the mix again? No, it doesn't. I will be, and again, I appreciate the sentiment, Beat Skull. We love that you're here. Salute to you and everybody else that's in chat. We thank you so much for your support. Again, please keep on liking the stream and keep on sharing the show. But I'm going to be adamant once again, Jose Ramirez is not going to be the win that all of a sudden puts Keyshawn Davis back in the good graces of respect because he knocked out Jose Ramirez. At this point in time, most people look at Keyshawn and say that if he didn't knock out Jose Ramirez, who is slow, who is old, who is, while still competing, we're seeing his skills digress, and he had no ability to do anything against a mover in the likes of Devin Haney. And even when he was trying to go and get in the pocket and work with them, he still got outworked. It wasn't just because Devin Haney ran. It was because we were saying, Devin Haney, if you really try, you could really hurt this cat and potentially get him out of there. Because it's such a wide discrepancy of talent. This does not mean that Jose Ramirez is uber elite. It would just be a knockout against a brother that he should knock out in this division, if we believe his power can carry over. Because again, he hurt Albright in their fight, even though he knocked him out. But Jose Ramirez is not nearly as mobile as Albright to be able to survive those same level of shots. I'm telling you, Jose Ramirez is not a fighter that we're going to say, Devin Haney beat him, but you beat him better. Now we're going to say, oh, you right back in the thick of it. No, far from it. It would be, I don't want to say a common sense win. Actually, no. Yes, I do. It would be a common sense win. The fight that could start the real shift would be Brian Norman. But let's be honest, like I said earlier, or adding on to the conversation that I said earlier in this show, It's going to take both of them. Keyshawn Davis beating and knocking out Jose Ramirez and beating and knocking out Brian Norman Jr. just to get the ball rolling with some consistency and dominant performances. If he can even be dominant in both of those affairs. Which if he isn't, it's going to spell trouble. Because a win is not enough for Keyshawn Davis with what he put himself in position of losing the faith of the public and his own promoter. It can't happen. But those are going to be wins that are not going to move the needle. And definitely not Jose Ramirez. With all due respect, I'm not saying this to be like, oh, it's a bad name to bring up. I'm saying the damage that Keyshawn did, that is not going to be enough to reverse that. Because what's he going to do? I knocked out Jose Ramirez. Hey, Devin Haney, come see me. I beat the guy that you beat. Devin Haney, come see me. I beat him better than you beat. Devin Haney, come see me. Guess what? We've seen that story before, haven't we? And what happened? The fight didn't happen. Nothing took place. We got lied to. Are we going to believe that again? Do you think he's even going to get $2 million for that fight that time around? It's going to sound like empty platitudes. Because why are you calling me out? Before this fight, you had me right in front of you, and you didn't take it. You think Jose Ramirez is going to give you $5 million of leverage to get a fight with Devin Haney? Like you want? You out of your mind if you think that, and you're Keyshawn Davis. That won't do anything. Some people may view that as a pity win. Because, hey, at least he got something. My gosh. What'd he get? $100K for this fight? $250? I hope he can break even on what he made in the last fight. Because Lord knows that ain't going to be no multi-million-dollar fight. Will he even take it if he feels he's worth this much money? All these questions, he's going to have to take what he can get. Will he even do that? And Jose Ramirez will be a take what we can give you kind of fight. Because that's all we can get you at 147, because nobody else believes you'll actually step in the ring and do anything. Because you lost your leverage. You lost your power. You lost your willingness to make a decision. Because you walked away from the best thing you could get. This ain't that will not save you. No, we won't. It's going to take a lot more work than that. A lot more work than that to get the ball going. Love King, how you doing? We appreciate you on the show. Thank you for showing up and tuning into our live stream. Salute to you and everybody in chat with us today. Also, left hand Monty, salute to you. Thank you for tuning into the show. We appreciate you on the stream. Thanks for showing up on our live stream today. Hopefully you're enjoying your stay. Hopefully you're enjoying your time. We are well over our normal time for the show. But hey, you know, we missed yesterday's episode and we couldn't do it. Yesterday had some stuff we had to do, but now we're going to make up for it. So we're going to keep this ball rolling without question. Crazy how the Haneys trying to wait for Boots to have Fundora and Virgil damage before they push for Devin and Boots fight. Well, are they waiting or are they stuck? Because there's been no indication that they are going to move up immediately to fight at 154 in the first place. We've all said there's business to handle at 147 right now. You beat Brian Norman. Keyshawn Davis popped up. Shakur Stevenson talked and called you out. Ryan Garcia, we still want to see you fight. And until when they were fighting for a title and you say you want to go out there undisputed here. So they've stated and they've moved like we're not rushing to get to Boots. But they've stated publicly Boots is an option if we can become undisputed. Because then undisputed guy versus undisputed guy, we both bring that into a fight. We move up to 154 and now we get it on. We handle our end, y'all handle yours, and then we'll get stuff going. Sound like I'm from Baltimore. You handle your end of the bargain. I handle mine, and then we go and make stuff shake. They've laid out the plan already. They're not waiting on damaged goods. If anything, Boots Ennis is the one that at 154, after beating Zayas, we're looking for his momentum to keep on going. It wouldn't be damaged goods. It'd be the fight that we want to see. If you beat Ortiz, that gives us even more information. Okay, hey, if you do fight Devin Haney, we think you'll beat him. You beat front door, more information. Hey, I think you'll definitely beat Devin Haney if he moves up here. But you have your business to handle up here. If Boots thinks about Haney right now with what's currently in front of him, some people may look at that as, hey brother, you're not focused on the right stuff. Haney just lost out, not of his own fault, of 2 big-time major fights. He may have to look at 154 because right now, like I said earlier, that's the only fights that we can see happening because everybody else seems to be avoiding him. And if he can't get anybody down here, he may just have to look up there. But if he can still get championships and other names, even if they ain't Shakur or Keyshawn, get them. The ultimate prize that we can now look towards, though, is the fight between Boots. Because formerly it was Ryan Garcia and Shakur that were the 2 biggest brass rings that the public and Devin Haney wanted to see step in the ring with each other. Now it's Ryan Garcia, and since Shakur is no longer an option, Boots is the next major fight that we're trying to get to if we can make it happen. They've said that publicly. We covered that earlier in the show. So if you want to go back and see it, but that's where that's all coming from. Let me see. You can't be no all-time great, only beating Andy Durrell and Zerto. Roy Jones needed prime James Toney and Bernard Hopkins on the resume. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not doubting it. I'm saying he's got more than Durrell and Zerto. And again, with this next stage in his career, we are going to get those names that you're asking for. The whole point of Benavidez's career has been, are you worth the risk? The answer, for the most part, even from Canelo, has been no. Even when the answer was yes, the answer was still no for most people. Because Benavidez moved at his own legacy, stopped chasing Canelo, and just fought everybody else except for Canelo, if Canelo ain't going to make the fight, he's at a stage right now where, in my prime, going into 30, with me still having all my physical ability, at this point in time looking better than ever, I am the guy that everybody wants to come to for the money and the championships. I have control. With this control now, I can go and beat up all the people that you say I need. And it's going to be easy to make happen because I am in the driver's seat. And with that leverage comes a lot of stuff that we can see. Many times, yeah, you get people that fight early on. Leonard had Duran early on. Ali had Liston at 23 years old. James Toney and Roy, they fought early. They were in their prime, but early. And sometimes these fights happen late, like Spence and Crawford. But after Spence and Crawford, boom. Big fight, good fight, huge fight. After he crossed that barrier. Because Benavidez crossed that barrier, he can now get these fights a lot easier. Whole lot easier. So expect those types of names with the already good cacophony of resume that he's established. Now it's going to compound in a good way. So I'm expecting it. Absolutely. I'm expecting that to be the case. Let me see. If you are Key's manager, are you advising Key to take $2 million when you know this fight is going to make 50 times that amount in Vegas? Remember, Rocha DePeta sold out in Las Vegas. Yeah, I am. If I was Keyshawn Davis, I'm going to take that fight. If I'm managing, because of the back end of what I see taking place. You taking this fight here, even and again, I said this, I had said this, was it yesterday or was it earlier this week? Sometime this week or last week, I said this. This fight was to set you up for a whole new foundation. If I'm your manager, $3 million is more than you've ever gotten in your fight for a chance to fight one of the 10 best in the world. In a fight that, let's be completely honest, getting this position was incredibly fortunate. Though you did the work with Ortiz and stuff, absolutely. Going into a new division, having an okay dominant win against Albright, you all of a sudden go from Albright to Haney without any other work after Albright. You doggone right. One fight at 147, and next thing you know, you're fighting the best in the world at this division. And you're getting $3 million. That means any fight afterwards, you're going to be getting $3 million is now your baseline. Why would you not take that fight? You only made a little over $1 million in every other fight that you've had in your career. And if you win, you skyrocket into Lord knows how much money. A loss still elevates you for the better. Because I was in the ring with Devin Haney. But I'm that type of star. I was in the fight with Devin Haney. I got a fight with one of the most potent and controversial fighters of our era that sold majorly because I built it up. If you get a fight with me, I can build it up to anything. Guess what? That alone shows you the marketing power and ability that I have at my disposal. I can do insane levels of work. The work? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was seeing something outside. My bad. My bad. But I have all of this going for me. $5 million is baseline. $3 million baseline. I can elevate to 7, 8, 9, whatever. Because now I'm worth that. Because I was in the ring. The proxy. Me being connected to him showed you just getting this fight, I'm on a different playing field that I can demand. I would be remiss to not take that if I was the manager. Now, I'm not going to be asking for like $600K. Like Jay Prince, almost, 30% of the entire purse? Good gosh. But still, I take it. Because you haven't made more since then. And if you take this, you can get more afterwards. Because how much do we think Keyshawn Davis is going to make now? How much is he going to make now? How much is he going to make now? He bet on himself, and from the optics perspective, he lost that bet. From the outside looking in, he lost that bet. I'm not going to mince words about it. From the outside looking in, looking at Keyshawn Davis, he lost that bet for what he was worth. Keyshawn Davis thought he was worth more than $3 million. He went to purse bid thinking he'd get more. He didn't. And now he thinks that he's worth more than $2 million. And the majority of the public and promoters are saying, brother, what are you thinking? Do you think he successfully won that bet? Or did he cash out with less money than he came in with? And now he's betting behind the 8 ball. I would think the latter more than the former. He went and cost himself the leveraging power to say I am worth this much in the first place. Because he didn't take this deep. And there's no Devin Haney on the resume to say, hey, brother, I'm worth the big time star because I was in the ring with this cat. You weren't even in the ring with him. Payday? You want a payday? You got Canelo memes going everywhere around you. You're the new Boo Boo Andre. You wanted to fight for the money and you got the fight, or you thought it wasn't worth the amount of money, and now you're walking away. You just wanted a payday. Did you actually think you could win? All these questions are now coming into view because he didn't take this fight. I'm telling you, I would have told him to take this fight because he bet on himself and failed. And the whole market for him reset. And reset for the worse from the optics of what the sport of boxing is saying. Boots and Shakur are the same weight difference both ways, I believe, with 140, 147, 154. Yeah. Well, yeah, they are. And I'm not saying, I don't think I was comparing Boots to Shakur. I think Boots different. Oh, there might be a different conversation I'm missing. But either way, yeah, you're right. Both ways they are. You are right. As a promoter, are you paying Devin $12 million to fight Liam Park? Well, am I paying him that? No. But is Devin Haney able to leverage that amount of money? Yes. Yes. I may not want to pay him that much, but Devin Haney's way more in the right to be able to demand that much money than what we see with this situation. Because again, I think he was going to make, for this fight with Keyshawn Davis, it was what, $6 million? Well, I think he was going to make $6 million. When he went to purse bid, he was going to make $6 million for this fight. And to Keyshawn's 2 or 3. I had to make sure, I had to think to make sure what I was going to say was right. I would not pay him $12 million. Devin Haney is in a better leveraging position to ask for that much. Because even if he doesn't get the 12, he can get the 6 or 5 or whatever. And again, it's Liam Paro. We're also dealing with Devin Haney understands the market of where he's at and the market of his opponent. He's not blind to what that fight is also. That's a fight that I'm going to get a belt. I should be able to win. Because most people are going to be favoring me to win that fight. And I'm going to be just fine. I do what I do. It's not going to be a bank-breaking fight. But it's a fight that still adds to what I need to become undisputed. And I can still get base, 4 million, 5 million, whatever the case may be, and still get the bulk of whatever. Even though I start high, even my low that I may fall into would be others people's high. So I'm still good. So no, I wouldn't pay 12 million for that fight. But I guarantee you, if Devin Haney wants to demand that, because he's like, hey, buddy, nobody wants to fight me. I told you I'm a big time threat. I am the brother that's the boogeyman. He can leverage himself. To 12, probably not, but to something significant, most likely. Most likely. Let me see. There is no back end with a guaranteed pay. Devin gets all the money up front. Ticket sales aren't guaranteed. They're not, but they were going to sell. If you got to understand, marketing in the boxing world, putting butts in seats, making people believe something can happen. This fight was going to sell out. This fight was going to sell out. It had been 6 months of build-up. Every major boxing channel, strictly sticking with YouTube and social media, was talking about, buddy, we might get this fight actually. This is a great second place fight to have if we can't get Shakur. And Keyshawn was building this up on his own time to make everybody say, hey, Devin Haney, you gonna shut him up? Hey, buddy, he talking reckless. Hey, cat, you said you give him that fight earlier. It's time to cash in. It would have sold out. I 100% believe it would have sold out. And it would have been just fine. Because the furnace of anticipation was already turned on. If it was just from scratch, we moving, okay. But because already for 2 fights worth of calling out Haney, it kept stoking the flames behind, in everybody's mind, in the back of everybody's head. It's there. We might get it. It's there. We might have it. Maybe we'll get it eventually. Maybe after Shakur. We're going to get it before Shakur? Wait a minute. Okay. He's at 147 now? Wait a minute. He's negotiating. Oh my gosh, we might just get this fight. The anticipation was high enough. You better believe if they had signed on the dotted line, instant, everybody would have seen it. And you want to know why? Because the post that had them saying that the fight was called off almost got over 1 million views on social media, on Twitter alone. Just on Twitter. Over 1 million people reacted to that post. Collectively with other outlets posting it as well. Over 5 million people had something about what this fight was or wasn't happening. Just seeing it. This would have sold. The back end was guaranteed. For Devin Haney, it was guaranteed anyway. Oh, excuse me. And for Keyshawn Davis, it was going to be guaranteed regardless because he would still make more money than he ever made before. He probably would have gotten $5 million on the night with everything else taken into account, or at least 3. I promise you, because of what that fight was building up to be. It was building up in a clash of styles, in a clash of identities, and 2 people that are not afraid to go low, talking against each other. The biggest thing about a fight is the drama before. Almost more than in the ring itself, people cared about the drama. Who's got the best jab at the other's personal life? Who's got the best joke? Who's gonna give me ammo to say something about the fighter I don't like? What moment are we gonna get that makes me want to see this fight even more? Then we're gonna have that in droves. I promise you. So that's why I'm saying it would have been guaranteed. For this fight, it would have assuredly been guaranteed, at least to me. Also, listeners should be saying, how you doing? Good to see you. We thank you for showing up and showing out on our stream. I'm trying to make sure I catch everybody that can come through. Boots is a much bigger fighter than Shakur. Yes, he is. Boots may be at 160 before we end up seeing Shakur at 147. Yeah, most likely. Most likely. Shakur's already still reluctant to go fight at 147, let alone 144. We're probably never going to get that fight with Shakur and Boots. We're probably never. We're probably never. And some may say it might be for a good reason. And you better be glad Shakur by that point in time ain't fighting Boots. Because by the time Boots gets to 160, if he keeps on elevating his skills, people are saying that brother can be the best in the world over Shakur. And with that type of destructive ability against Shakur's technical aficionado, absolutely. Some people may lean towards, he might be him too. But I would love to see it. I just know most likely it won't happen. Most likely. Unless Shakur all of a sudden says, hey, brother, it's time to work. I'm just moving through everything now. Bump weight classes, I'm just there. Let's fight. Unless he does that, which most likely he won't. But hey, it is what it is. Let me see. I'm trying to make sure. Point is Devin Haney at 147 in the middle. And point is Devin Haney at 147 is in the middle of Shakur and Boots. Yep, 7 pounds. Oh, 7 pounds either way is your point. But Devin's always looking for the size advantage. That's true. But I think at 147 and at 154, that size advantage starts to dissipate significantly. At least when it's coming down to Ryan Garcia, Boots Ennis. I'm not going to say Shakur Stevenson, but fighters that are now most of the elite that are a threat to you. We can put Tio there as well. They're similar or around your size and level. Devin Haney doesn't want to do hydration clauses yet. But also now he's dealing with people that are going to be able to hydrate up to his size also. Especially at 154. So the size disparity in terms of, I'm a weight bully significantly. I'm this physical freak significantly. He still has that. But now from 47 to 54, welterweight to super welterweight, now we're getting that gap starting to close of how much he can just balloon over everybody else, when everybody else also, they're coming into 175, or roughly so. So Shakur still should take the fight because his demands were met to meet at 144, and Devin Haney's winning the fight at 144. Devin's been willing to be adjusted. Just a matter of who wants to adjust to him at this point in time. Let me see. At the end of the day, instead of crying for a catchweight, just move up and beat Haney. Especially since I think Shakur would beat Haney if he did. Yeah, just move up. And we say that because if we're looking at history and other greats that did this, Crawford fought Canelo, no catchweight, no rematch, one and done, and he got it done. Benavidez moved up to light heavyweight. One loss could have derailed everything, and he just won, and just kept on moving. Usyk moved up, dominated, and won. And in the past, Floyd Mayweather, he fought Oscar De La Hoya at 154, straight up. Now, granted, I don't think he never fought up there again. I think he fought Canelo at 152 at a catchweight afterwards. But when he was in his, at that point in time, he fought De La Hoya where De La Hoya was and won. Now, should he have given him a rematch? I wish he did. It's a shame that he didn't. If you want to call that a duck, I'm not blaming you in getting a rematch for that fight. Because he should have given it to him. But still, he fought him where he was. He fought Diego Corrales where he was. He fought Gotti where he was. And if you want to be great like that, that's what they did. Sugar Ray fought Marvin Hagler where he was. Sugar Ray Leonard. He fought Tommy Hearns where he was. At 154. James Toney fought Iran Barkley where he was. At the very dangerous opportunity when Iran Barkley had just knocked out Tommy Hearns and beat him twice. You know what's crazy? Roberto Duran fought Iran Barkley at light heavyweight where he was. Coming up from 135. He fought Tommy Hearns where he was. At 147, I believe. He fought, did he fight Marvin Hagler? I think he fought Marvin. I think he fought everybody. Let me make sure. Yeah, he fought Marvin Hagler. He fought Marvin Hagler at middleweight for his title. And good gosh, you want to know? Hey, you want to know what the scorecards were for that fight when Roberto Duran in 1983 fought Marvin Hagler? 146, 145, 50, mind you, 15 rounds, not 12. 146, 145, 144, 143, and 142 to 141. Hold on. Wait, that doesn't sound right. Wait a second, hold on. Wait a minute, let me make sure I got these numbers right. Wait, hold on. Wait a minute. Let me make sure I got these numbers right. I'm trying to make sure I got these scorecards right, so I can give you all the proper the proper thing. But he fought him, and he beat him, and it was unanimous. But it was only like 1 or 2 rounds off. It was only 1 or 2 rounds off, and like he even at a division, and yes, those numbers were right. It was looking a little bit weird. I don't know why it was scored like that. I'm just telling you that's what the judging was. And so, we're this one. Oh, it was because they had round 7 and 8 was around on 2 scorecards. I think on 3 of them actually. They were doing 10-10 rounds a little more fervently. That's what. Okay, yeah. Let me show you. I just had to make sure. I had to make sure. So they were having 10-10 rounds on the scorecards a lot in this fight. So that's why 143, 142, 142, 144, 145, 146. These were the judges' scorecards. But it's because there were some draw rounds and some 10-10 rounds on all 3 of them multiple times. But he only lost by like two or 1 rounds just about on most of the scorecards. But he fought him where he was. I'm simply trying to paint a picture as to why we say with Shakur what we say with Shakur. And other fighters, hey, we understand that stuff needs to happen. We understand that weight classes exist for a reason, but we also understand, buddy, if you're going to work. And if you make a demand and they meet it, work and go fight them. Because if you really want to be great like these other people, they just went to work regardless and fought them where they were. And if you think that you're as great as them, especially with how you've put down the older generation of boxing, Joe Louis, Sugar Ray Robinson saying he wasn't that great, Archie Moore, whoever else he's talking about, saying they were unskilled or to some degree unrefined. Okay, that's to your point. If you want to feel that way, so be it. It's not the case, but if you want to feel that way, so be it. Just know the way they moved is something that you're not doing right now. Because they fought them where they were. And you could have done that too. But because you don't, it's got a lot of people frustrated. Let me see. We got to start. We got to get ready to wrap up this show. But let me keep on reading your thoughts and opinions. When it comes to going down to fighting Shakur, let's do it. But when it comes to going up and fighting Boots, let's wait. Boots got business at 145, is what Bill said. No, yeah. That's what he said. Shoot, that's what I said going into it. Hey, buddy, if you're gonna go out to undisputed, I've said it before even entertain. I just told you all Devin Haney could fight Boots down the line. But that wasn't me advocating that fight needs to happen next. I was telling you all Boots got to handle his business. Bill came out and said if he does his and I do mine, we can get a fight going on him there. Yeah. And you're right. And do you, again, if he goes up to 154 right now, I'm saying that he loses to Boots. And if he proves me otherwise, so be it. But I'm still, this ain't me making excuses. I want to see Devin Haney fight against Ryan Garcia. And or Shakur, if we could actually get that fight to happen. But if we can get the Ryan Garcia fight either, at minimum, then there absolutely is no need to wait around. Go ahead and go up. That's what I'm all for that. I just know both of them got business that I want, me personally, I want to see them handle. Because there's a story that both of them got to finish in certain aspects before we start writing a whole new chapter of what that fight could be for each other. That's me. That's me. That's why I'm saying, yeah, I get that. But if options run out, I said he might have to go to 154 because that's the only place he can get a fight. And if you do, and once you make that leap, Boots better be on your radar immediately. Immediately. It better be that. It has to be that. More than anything else. No question about it. Boots objectively does have Ortiz and Fundora. Yep, absolutely. He got Fundi. Yeah, both of them. He got both of them. Okay, he needs to focus on right now because if he lapses in any of those sentiments, he gonna get beat. He gonna get beat if he does not focus in on those aspects of warriors and looking like, hey, I want to fight you. Come on up. Don't do that. Because if you lose up there, we won't get to fight with Devin Haney in the first place. Because now that we're doing Devin Haney will fight you if you have undisputed. You lose. Well, that's it. That's over. Ain't no undisputed fight. Hence, ain't no fight with Devin Haney or Boots to have in the first place. Let me see. Thank you for looking at it from a historical lens. Hey man, I'm just giving you talking points. I'm just giving you a canvas of situations as to what we've seen before from other people. That's all. It's probably more I'm not even thinking of. It's just a matter of we've seen it. That's the story of why we're mad with Shakur. Many people are. Because in other fights, not just Shakur, other fighters, because we've seen other fighters be great in this sentiment, and we could see the same thing with you, and we want to see the same thing with you. It's just a matter of, will you do it? And if you don't, well, it's going to be frustrating. It can get very frustrating. In boxing, people who don't know the history of the sport are doomed to repeat not some of the good history. Stop crying about catchweights and move up. Like, the fans just want the fight. I know catchweight can be necessary for times. I've seen it used, and it's been appropriate for times. But ultimately, if it's an excuse after a demand that didn't have that catchweight added on for why a fight ain't gonna happen, that point, catchweight goes out the window. Because more than catchweight, he needs to weigh in the night before at the weight that you want. That's what you didn't ask for anything else. Now that if this is the other issue, you should have made that public. Instead of trying to slip that in as the other back end situation, if that's what you're doing. And catchweights in general, like I said, sometimes it does make sense, but oftentimes it is used as a bargaining chip to try to leverage a different situation. And so fighters are sick of it. When it used to be useful, now it's turned into a weapon. And because it's a weapon, we don't care that it's used to stop fights from happening. We need stuff done. As fans, we need some stuff done. And so, let me see, Duran fought everyone. Yes, he did. Went from lightweight straight to 147, beat Sugar Ray Robinson. Shakur could easily solidify himself as a modern all-time great by moving up like Duran and beating Haney. Yeah, he could. Shoot, I said Tank could do that same thing and move like Duran because he's that good and he can be able to compete at these higher weight classes. I think he can anyway. It's just he's not moving like it. Many people aren't moving like it. And Shakur started that because after beating Tio, but then now it's like, that's why people look at history and it's like, dang it, he could have done so much more. Let me just go back and watch that fight. Marvin destroyed Duran. They were always shortchanging Marvin. Now, I will say that's true. I will say they were shortchanging Marvin Hagler. Like when he lost to Sugar Ray Leonard, which I think he should have won that fight. But Hagler, with as dominant as he was, didn't get the same level of shine and respect that Sugar Ray Leonard or even Tommy Hearns or Duran got. They were all great in each own regard. I'm not saying that they didn't deserve the shine that they had, because they're the four some of the greatest fighters we've ever seen, literally all at once. You will never hear me say that. But the conversation surrounding Hagler was not the same as it was with Hearns and others, even with him fighting everybody and only losing like twice in his entire career. Both fights being controversial. Both of them. So, like, you're right. They did shortchange him. Absolutely. In here talking about Haney size after it's been established, I think Shakur wins if he moves up. Yep. I think I was with you. Be clear. I agree. I have been the first one. I'm not one of the first. I've been one of the biggest advocates that have said for a long time, I'm mad this fight's not happening because Shakur is better than Devin Haney, in my opinion. Shakur's a better boxer. I think Shakur has a better jab. I think Shakur is better defensively. I think Shakur is better in the pocket. I think for all the stuff that we see Devin Haney have at his disposal as a fighter, Shakur is a better outright boxer than Devin Haney. I have been on record saying that. And if they fought, I said I think Shakur can beat him. because he's got better ability to do more things when the going gets tough in different situations. We've seen him adapt against William Cepeda versus Devin Haney holding on for dear life in every situation that somebody gets close. There is a consistency in Shakur that I don't see in Devin Haney when different situations in the fight come up. That's why I said he could beat him. But you ain't taking the fight. And you had it. And I believe in you. But you ain't doing it, so it's like, my gosh. No matter what I believe, I got to see it happen. Because at some point in time, talk just becomes talk up until you make something shake. And no matter if I think Shakur can beat Devin Haney, you got to do it. And you got to take that chance. And you had that chance in front of you. With the demands that you wanted with fighting at 144, and you still backed out. For no good reason. In my opinion, no good reason. So, maybe you don't believe you can actually win if this is the thinking of Shakur. With how he is moving. At least from an optics perspective. At least from an optics perspective. The optics don't look good when it comes to Shakur Stevens. In some parts, it's because he did it to himself. Did it to himself in some regards. That's the truth. That is the truth. Let me see. Duran made the fight versus Hagler KG. Yes, and they actually boxed all 15. But Hagler finished stronger. Yeah, he did. He did. And so, but yeah, we watched that fight. Still a good fight. But it just shows you it's preposterous to think that Roberto Duran fought that high up. And it's ridiculous to say. But look, we got to go through, and I got to end this show because we got to get out of here. Because if I don't, we're going to be on for 4 hours. And Lord knows, I need to make sure I at least get some rest, and I ain't got no food. So I need to get something to eat in me. So we're going to end off this show with a bang and let you all enjoy the rest of your afternoon. So ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for tuning in on the show. Hopefully you had a phenomenal time. We appreciate you joining in with us, and we're going to get out of here, shall we? So ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of The Welch Report with me, your host, Jean-Luc Welch. We thank you so much for all of your support, all of your well wishes, and all of the fun that we had on our show today. We had over 500 people collectively come in and join in on our stream. We thank you so much for everybody who showed up and showed out. We appreciate you all being in on this show. If you would be so kind, leave a like on the video before you leave. One like makes a world of difference to help grow this channel. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Join us, be a part of the hottest show in all of the globe. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a moment of what we have right here on stream with us every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday out the week. Also, we want to thank everybody who came in and joined and was in the chat and responding and having a phenomenal time with us on the show. You all made it wonderful. You all made the show spectacular, and we thank you so much for being here with us on today. If you can't support the channel monetarily, we do have Cash App, PayPal, and links down below in the description for your ability to help us support on this channel, whether you are again, with whatever means you can do. Also, super chat, super gifts, stickers, super thanks, and all that stuff in the like jewels, rubies, diamonds, whatever the word they got on YouTube. You can give to the show and help us support our channel. We're like PBS. We're funded by viewers like you, and we can't do this without your help, because you all are what makes this show possible, and we appreciate all of your support as we continue to grow this channel and flourish and shine as a community. But I've been Jean-Luc Welch. You all have been absolutely wonderful. We're going to be back next week covering the world of boxing and beyond, and more talking points with the NBA, NFL, as the season's getting ready to come in on football now. Some stuff breaking in the NBA that we'll be breaking down over next week. And of course, more talking points in the boxing world that we will always delve into, because that's our bread and butter now, that we will want to debate with you all on this show. So be safe, be blessed, peace and love. Hey, we are out of here. Yes, sir. Salute to you. We appreciate you being here. Have a wonderful day, or rather, have a wonderful afternoon. Have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful weekend. We're gonna see you all next week. We can't wait till next time. And we are out of here.